Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Flights of Fandom. This is a show where we create improvised fan fiction using tabletop role-playing games. My name is Liza. I use she, her pronouns. I am going to be running this here flight, the Delta Protocol Pacific Rim flight. I am very much looking forward to bringing this all your way. We are running a variation of this phenomenal system. It is called Beamswords and Bazookas, and it is written by the one and only Justin Kaler, who is also amongst our players this evening. Yay! Go ahead and go check it out. Justin, you can plug your work for us in just a second. I believe the link to your store will be popping up every now and then in the chat. Yes, excellent. Players, go ahead and introduce yourselves. We will go ahead starting up in the upper left-hand corner with Hopper.
It's me. What's up, everybody? I'm Hopper. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a regular here on the show and on Manapod Studios in general. I can be found in, on, and around the interwebs at Fail Deadly. That's with a 3 instead of an E, because I'm not a good person. And I generally yell about nerdy shit and or gay shit and or just general political stuff. If you're more interested in gaming things that I do, you can follow me at The Legend Tree on, again, most social media platforms. And occasionally I post actual content and ideas that aren't 100% horrible.
All right, thank you so much, Hopper. Next up, going around, Puja.
Hello, everybody. I am Puja. You've seen me around here probably more than you want, but guess what? You're stuck with more of me. My pronouns are she, her, and you can find me yelling into the void of the internet on Twitter at Puja and on Instagram at Pujabberwocky, and I'll be in the chat tonight as Pujabberwocky as well. And what I wanted to say was Happy Pride, y'all. Yay. My plan is to wear Pride merch as much as I can this month, because we loud and we proud out here.
Wonderful. Coming back around that circle, we have Justin. Justin, tell us about yourself.
What's up, everybody? My name is Justin Kaler. I'm out here in Queens, New York, and doing game design. Wrote Beamswords and Bazookas a few years ago. I'm very excited to see it run for Pacific Rim. Excited to see all the things that Liza added to it. And very excited to play with all these new people that I've never played with before. So I'm really looking forward to it. And thank you so much for having me. Oh, and Sweaterpunk Studios. See, you're better at promoting my stuff than I am. Sweaterpunk Studios is the game design studio that I imprint games under. Google it, check it out if you would like.
Click on the link that Nightbot just posted. Nightbot MVP.
I got to hire Nightbot.
And last but not least, Calais.
Hello, I am Calais. I can be found around the internet as Anglophile Slytherin, all one word, primarily on Tumblr, where I ramble, don't really post much myself, but mostly just reblog a lot of fandom nonsense. And I am glad to be joining y'all. I don't have anything to promote, but y'all seem cool.
Well, thank you so much. And for the next few weeks, we will be running this exciting Pacific Rim inspired adventure. So we should get into it. Yeah, let's do that. I need slightly more upbeat music for this, I think, for my intro. So let's see.
Just be like me and play dark synth Sugar Plum Fairy to torment your players.
That sounds fun.
All Club Seamus all the time.
Oh no.
Bagpipe rave music. No, not thematically appropriate. Because this is not a bagpipe rave, no. The year, if you can believe it, is 2021. 8 years after the first Jaeger made landfall in San Francisco. And San Francisco is where we find ourselves. From the 32nd floor of a recently refurbished skyscraper, we look out at the still devastated Bay Area. The once 3-mile wide swath of destruction cut by the first ever kaiju to emerge from the breach is still visible from this high up, though down at the street level, the reconstruction efforts have been intense, and a feeling of tentative normalcy has settled over the city. But everywhere are signs of the way that the world has changed. Bright billboards proclaiming recruitment efforts for the Pan-Pacific Defense Corps, propaganda that encourages everyday citizens to contribute to the defense efforts. And of course, in stores, little toys of kaiju and Jaegers, people on the street with t-shirts proclaiming their favorite ranger teams. And in amongst the throng are 4 people who don't yet know what this day has in store for them. I was gonna say, I think first and foremost, we find our camera focusing in on one of the busy construction sites, probably somewhere in Oakland, and we see, various dirt-stained construction workers moving lumber and hoisting tools, redoing a building that was destroyed. And in amongst that construction crew, we see Ransom Holt. Hopper, can you describe Ransom for us?
Ooh, definitely wrote this down. Definitely lost that paper. Ransom is he's a early middle age man with kind of pretty ruddy suntan skin, and he has aged like trash. He is 44 years old, but he looks like he's in his mid 50s. But despite that, he stands like about 5'8" and is pretty jacked for looking like somebody who has been on the wrong side of several semi trucks. He just kind of like you see him stand up and like take off his helmet and then like wipe a rag across his like pretty solidly silvered hair, and then wipe the dust off his face and just looks around.
Yeah, nearby Ransom, you can see two of your fellow construction workers kind of taking a little break. They've pulled out some thermoses, and the two of them, one of them is holding up the smartphone and paging through pictures of what appears to be her family. You see a small child, and the two of them are pointing and exclaiming, oh my God, he's gotten so big. But other than that, the scene around you is quiet. However, something is making the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
Yeah, I think, so Ransom just kind of stands up and he's just kind of trying to be calm, but it's like, that old soldier sense. Sometimes you feel those eyes on you. And so he's just kind of scanning around, trying to pick out anybody who's who's not supposed to be on a construction site.
Absolutely. Will you make me an awareness skill check, please? That is going to be your wits die plus your leader die.
Ooh, my so I'm rolling a d6 and a d8. That is correct.
Yeah, that sounds right.
My leader dice is low. Oh, that's a 3 and a 3.
All right, so no people stand out, but I actually want you to do me that same roll, but with wits and renegade. Because I realized I should have asked you to do that. Sorry. This is my first time running this system. Since you're looking out for maybe anything shady. More specifically, which is what you said, and I should have made you do that.
That is fair. I will say I am my renegade skill is quite quite a bit higher. I think we all know what ending I got in Mass Effect 3. That's substantially better. That's an 11 and a 2.
Okay, so that's 2 hits from the 11. So, yeah, you're looking around. You know, the first roll is more like looking around. You're like listening in on their conversation in case that, like, you know, subconsciously listening something they were saying, but you don't think so. You do see 2 things with those 2 hits. You see a car driving away from the site office, and it's a much nicer car. Beautiful, like, electric vehicle. Much cleaner than most of the other vehicles in this part of town, and certainly too clean to be on a construction site. The other thing that you notice, however, is it looks like there was some supplies set up on the scaffolding of this, like, floor above where your coworkers are taking a break. And as you're watching, there's a big, strong gust of wind. And you see a sheet of plywood kind of, like, get caught and tip. And you can see some heavy-looking equipment about to tumble down onto where those 2 co-workers of yours are taking a break.
So yeah, Ransom immediately just kind of snaps out kind of a warning and just goes, headache, and points above, move.
Yeah, the 2.
That's way more British than I intended.
The 2 immediately kind of stand up and roll out of the way. I'm just gonna roll really quickly for them. Character die here, see how quickly they can react. I'm gonna give them 1 advantage for your
I'm about to
warning.
watch a workplace fucking. Are we about to see why OSHA is still needed in Pacific Rim?
No, that's 1 hit, which is all that they needed to sort of roll out of the way. Right as kind of this heavy piece of equipment. I'm gonna say for dramatic effect that it's like a jackhammer. Why that would be on a 2nd floor, I don't know. Comes kind of plunging down right where they were. And while they managed to roll out of the way, you see trapped under it is like the cracked screen of the smartphone. You see the picture of the small child kind of like flicker for a second before the screen kind of buzzes out.
Yeah, I think the camera just kind of looks at Ransom's face, and his face kind of twists a little bit, and you see like there is just instantaneously these like he's got these I'm face claiming him off the dude who or I'm basing a face claim off the dude who was the dickhead colonel in the Avatar movie. That guy who's apparently super nice or something, but whatever. He's really good at being a bastard in movies. And you just see these blue gray eyes just kind of stare off into the distance as that kind of triggers a flashback.
Yeah, actually, because it is sort of triggering a flashback, I'd also like you to make me a willpower check, I think, which is going to be heart plus leader.
Ah, yes, my
I'm
two
just making
worst
you do all your good
stats.
stuff.
My 2 worst stats. Whatever could possibly go wrong. That would be a 5 and a 1.
All right, so that's 1 hit. That's all you needed. You managed to kind of shake off these images. They're chasing themselves in this strange sort of hyper surrealistic bluish fog. And you shake it off, and one of the coworkers kind of stands up. The one whose phone chatters. She says, "Hey, Ransom, you don't look so good. You okay?"
Yep.
Thanks, by the way.
Never better. Watch where you're standing. And he turns around and walks away.
Yeah, and the foreman is kind of standing on the steps of the site office and kind of waves you over and goes, "Hey, Holt, get over here."
What's up?
Saw what you did back there. It's a good thing. Also, the boss says you can take the rest of the day off.
Paid?
And he reaches into his back pocket and draws out an envelope, which is rather thicker with cash than it normally is at this time of the week. And you can also see kind of poking up over the top of it, there is what appears to be a handwritten note stuck into this envelope of cash.
That just happened. You happen to have that ready for me?
Like I said, the boss said you could take the rest of the day off.
Ransom just kind of reaches out and grabs it. And
as we see kind of Ransom walking through the misty, kind of gross gravel parking lot of this construction site, we see him flip open the envelope, thumb through the cash, and draw out this note, which just says, I'm offering you a second chance. The program still needs you. And there is a time, a date, and an address in downtown San Francisco.
I think you see several face journeys. There's a transatlantic flight of face journeys, ranging from kind of like anger to like, oh, that's a lot of money, to God, not again. And we kind of end with a
All right.
That's the whole vibe. I don't know how else to do it. Just
No, it's perfect. The camera kind of pans out again and a little closer to sort of this swathe of destruction, where we can see another somewhat similar looking group, although this group has more the look of college freshmen. The hard hats are less well-fitting. They're wearing big, expensive-looking, kind of weird, like, biohazard galoshes and large gloves. And we see people kind of shoveling material into these weird containers. And all around there is this, like, slight smell. People are wearing masks. And there is a faint blue discoloration to this wetland that people seem to be cleaning up. We see walking in among these volunteers cleaning up, we see Lee Cason.
Yeah, so you see Lee in there with his cargo pants stuffed into rubber boots and like an old NASA t-shirt. He's got like chin length hair, kind of greasy, just like back behind his ears under a hard hat with like a face mask on. And he's just sort of like helping in this like sort of like wetlands cleanup with like a bunch of people who are probably 5 to 10 years younger than him mostly. And he's just like kind of shoveling and doing brunt work. Maybe there's like a section where they're trying to like plant new growth that he helps out with at a certain point. But I think at a certain point, something sort of like catches his attention. Like there's sort of like muck and stuff that might be a little dangerous, and like maybe stuff that might be harmful that they know to stay away from. But like something out of the corner of his eye catches his eye, and he's like sort of walks over to it, like maybe sort of like even pokes something at it, something that's sort of like frothy and a weird sort of amber color, perhaps. And I think he sort of like immediately like rushes off to get some of the like people in charge and like some of the scientists that are there to like point it out to their attention and be like, hey, I think there's something over there that you guys should go check out. And I sort of have like, can I like walk through his day, or do you feel free to like insert or stop me anywhere if you
Absolutely.
want?
I'd actually like you, if you're identifying this weird substance, to go ahead and make a science check, which is going to be wits plus specialist, to see if you're correct about this being a particularly hazardous substance or not.
That's a great point. I got a 6 and a 3, so only one hit.
All right, one hit. It's definitely weird and dangerous. Exactly what it is, you don't know, but keeping people away from it, you think is probably a really good idea. So yeah, you call over some scientists. People are kind of stop working and gather around in the way that people do when something bad is happening.
Totally.
And Lee, you see kind of two of the there's like a young kind of woman with like long dark braids, and she's leaning over to this older guy with much shorter close buzzed hair, and she goes, right as we see kind of Lee like take off his mask, take a little drink of water, and kind of the younger woman elbows her friend and goes, "Hey, that guy looks familiar. Wasn't he a Jaeger pilot?" And the guy kind of whispers back like, "Oh yeah, but," and then he leans over and whispers in her ear, and she kind of like blanches a little bit, and both of them turn away. Just close enough, Lee, that I think you catch bits of this conversation.
For sure. Lee takes a swig of his water, and Lee's got kind of like a long face. He's kind of lanky and just has like varying lengths of stubble. Never a full beard, just varying lengths of stubble at all times. Yeah, he just sort of puts his mask on and like just pretends totally like he didn't hear it. And he just sort of like walks to do his work further away from those two people.
Absolutely.
And I think, again, stop me whenever, but I think Lee sort of like, after he gets done with his volunteer work, he like goes to like, there's like a boys and girls club where he like shows up in cargo shorts this time, and, like a polo shirt. And he's got his hair back in a ponytail, and he's like on the sidelines, like coaching like teenagers playing basketball. And you know, he's like Samantha, watch the baseline, pass it. You got to be a team player. And then like one of the people from the other team like sort of like comes in and like makes like an over the top gesture and then starts yelling like cheating, they were cheating. And then like one of the other people on the opposing team like comes up to them. They're like their whole team's full of cheaters. Look at their coach. And then so like Lee like pulls over like the kid who like they accuse of cheating, and he's like, the words they say can't hurt you, okay? You remember that. It's like, you're fine. It ain't nothing. Go out there and win the game. And then so Lee moves on from there.
Make me an influence check.
Sure.
To influence this small child, and maybe also try to tell yourself the same message.
Sure. Leader wits or leader heart?
Leader heart.
Okay. I actually got 2 6s, so I got 2 hits on that.
Okay. Well, I think in that case, you know, the accusations and the voices of innocent children have no effect on your psyche. So yeah, the kid kind of nods. You give him a hearty clap on the shoulder, and they run back out onto the court and start doing basketball stuff. I don't know. Don't ask me.
Doing basketball stuff. Say that's about as much as I know as well.
They score a basket. They do a good dunk.
I'm very proud of them. And then Lee goes on after that. He goes home and takes a shower, and then he goes to the diner sort of in downtown where he puts on, you know, his line chef blacks and a backwards black baseball cap, and goes to just be a line chef for the evening and, you know, make a living and then do it all over again tomorrow.
Justin, can you have Lee roll an awareness check for me? This is back in the basketball game.
Totally.
Is he a line chef for fun?
So awareness leader?
Like,
yes, wits and
I think
leader.
It's everything else is for fun. This is for me.
I am crushing it now. We'll see how I do later. I actually got a 12 and an 8, so 3 hits.
Dang. All right. So you realize, kind of as you're in the middle of cooking something, a memory comes back to you. Like while you were talking to one of the kids, you realize you saw somebody go over to your stuff that was just sort of sitting on the side of the court and like lean over it. Like you just noticed it out of the corner of your eye, and it doesn't occur to you until just then. And you kind of finish what you're doing and run over to your bag, and you pull out an envelope, which is just marked in handwriting with your name on it. And as you're opening it, you realize you recognized the logo on this person's like 3/4 zip fleece that they were wearing. As being a logo for a telecommunications company called Altis Sky.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'll definitely check it out, I guess, before going to work.
Yeah, no, you find this, and the handwritten card has a date, a time, and an address in downtown
Same
San
thing.
Francisco.
Yeah, so I think very similar reaction to Ransom, kind of just waves of different thoughts and sort of like closes it back up and puts it back in his bag and just goes and has a very distracted night at work.
Yeah, there are definitely more than a few burnt burgers
Perhaps.
at the diner that night. The following day, we see dawn's a little bit brighter, the mist burning off a little bit down on the San Francisco waterfront. And the weak sunny rays are reflecting off of a still shiny and still relatively new memorial. It's large, a kind of abstract stone and metal structure, emblazoned all around its base with long, long lists of names. And standing at the base of this memorial in a crowd, we see Shailee.
Shailee looks like anyone else in the crowd in the way she's dressed, but the first thing that an outsider would notice is her posture. She has a specific way of carrying herself upright that one would usually associate either with the military or with martial arts or weight training, and in her case, all of the above. And you see her fingers linger on a set of names on the memorial wall. They're the names of her father and her mother, who are two of, I don't even know, tens of thousands of civilians who were killed in the San Francisco kaiju attack in 2013. And she's here to pay her respects, but there's still this discomfort in her stance. And it seems as though she's here because it's the right thing to do, but she's clearly not dealt with all of the underlying trauma. Surprise!
Yeah.
Pacific Rim character traumatized?
No, what? Did I specifically ask you for that in your character creation processes? Of course not.
Nah.
Yeah, the sunlight reflects off of the metal, and the clearing fog exposes the discolored, new repaired section of the Golden Gate Bridge. It's a beautiful day, and yet it doesn't quite seem to sink fully in here in this bubble of space around the memorial. Most people walking by seem solemn. Although, Shailee, you do notice two young boys chasing each other through the crowd. One with a big plastic kaiju, and one carrying a little toy of a Jaeger. Would you roll me an awareness test really quick? It's going to be wits plus leader.
Wits and lead. All right. That's a D10 and D12. All right. That is a 7 and a 3. It's
All
10.
right. So one hit. You are very focused on watching these two kids. It's kind of like the one sort of bright spot in this chilly crowd. And as they run by you, you actually, the Jaeger that this child is playing with, you kind of feel a little shock at how familiar it looks. Is the Jaeger Viper Alamo.
And even without trying, Shailee is smiling because, dear viewers, that is the Jaeger piloted by her older twin brothers, who are, as you may guess by the fact that there is a kid running around with a toy of said Jaeger, they are wildly successful. And in the Pacific Rim world, that gives you kind of celebrity status if you're real good at killing kaiju.
Yeah, so the two, you see the kid piloting Viper Alamo kind of catch up to the kid with the kaiju toy and basically just start stabbing him with the plastic Jaeger. And you're a little distracted, giggling by this. So it comes as a complete shock when you feel a hand clamp down quite firmly on your shoulder.
And immediately you see like Shailee's entire body goes rigid and she suppresses every urge in her body to grab that arm and flip that person around.
I actually think we need to roll to see whether or not you suppress that
She can
urge.
successfully resist that? Yeah, no. She fights for a trains fighters for a living? Like this is
I know. My question
roll?
is to roll for suppressing the instinct.
Yeah.
I'm wondering because originally I was gonna have you make a hand-to-hand combat roll, but I wonder if this is. Yeah, I think that's what that is. I think it's just your reflexes.
Oh, great. She has advantage on that.
All right, so that's gonna be toughness plus survivor plus advantage. It's an extra
Survivor
D6.
plus. Oh dear. Okay. So that's toughness is a D8. Survivor is a D10 for her, and alrighty. Well, actually, that's just a 9.
All right, so one success. That is all you needed to not flip this person. However, your hand does kind of go and brace on theirs, and it says, "Apologies, Fight Master. I didn't mean to disturb you. I was calling your name." And
Sorry, a little distracted tonight.
as you turn, you can see a Korean American woman in her mid 40s. She has kind of chin length, dark hair, dressed in kind of very inconspicuous civilian clothing, wearing a ball cap. And in fact, you can immediately tell that she looks a little like kind of nervous, almost a little bit looking around. She goes, "I have been trying to contact you, but I wasn't able to get a hold of you. I wonder if you wouldn't mind accompanying me. I have an important matter I'd like to discuss with you."
Oh, okay. For the PPDC?
Yes.
Do I recognize her?
Yeah, I'm trying to think I think this would be like a culture check. Wits plus leader. I'll give you advantage because you're an active member of the PPDC.
Okay. Wits and leader. Okay. Whoa. Okay. That's a 14 plus 8. So that's a 22? Yeah.
Well, you don't add them up. It's just the number.
Oh, you don't add them up. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was a 9, a 5, and an 8.
Okay, so that's 3 hits. Yeah, you actually know exactly who this person is. Her name is Dr. Symphony Park, and she is a lead data analyst for the PPDC. She's pretty high up in the intelligence wing of things, and you actually know for a fact she recently got promoted and reports directly to Marshal Pentagast.
Okay.
Sorry, Pentecost. I'm going to be doing that as a Dragon Age person. Sorry.
Wait, you're saying the Marshal isn't a Navaran dragon slayer?
I mean,
Says who?
Could kill a dragon, I believe it.
has killed dragons. What
I
are
mean,
kaiju?
Let's expand the definition of dragon a little bit. And then, yeah.
Do we need to go now?
There are a few people that I would like to speak with simultaneously, and I'm afraid if we don't, we will be late.
Okay. Lead the way.
Thank you. And she kind of smiles and kind of hurries you on. You see her kind of, as you guys are walking to this waiting car, you see her almost angle her face a little bit. I'm continuing that roll from earlier, which was so good. You see her kind of angling her face, making sure kind of her ball cap is kind of covering her. You get the feeling that she does not want to be seen.
I'll take a look around just to see if anyone's watching.
Sure. Make another awareness check.
And that's wits and survivor?
In this case, I think it would be wits and leader.
what's a leader? Oh, that's better. A 10 and a 12.
Okay, yeah, 2 hits. No one else really seems to be looking at the two of
rolled
you,
max.
as far as you can tell. But there are kind of nearby, like a little like shack where there's a couple of like PPDC trainees just sort of like standing guard by the monument.
Okay.
And she definitely leads you away from them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Last but not least, as Shailee and Dr. Park get into this car and speed away, we kind of dodge through the traffic into the posh interior of a different car on the streets of San Francisco, where we see Rachel.
So Rachel is, I think the best way to describe what she looks like is that somewhat like generic, conventionally attractive brunette actress look that like the lead of, you know, half a dozen mystery TV shows that we all know of looks like. She is in her probably late 20s, looks around the same age as Lee. She does have the sort of ends of her hair are dyed pink and kind of like a dip dye effect. It is currently braided neatly. And she's dressed in what I like to refer to as urban fantasy heroine chic. So, you know, like slightly too low cut tank top, jeans, like very tight jeans, a leather jacket that's like open. She's probably has like a tablet in her hand and is kind of like going through her notes as she's in the car. I'm probably somebody else is driving, just like giving her a lift kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. As you guys are driving through, kind of drive past the memorial and through some other things, and the driver turns to you and kind of says, "Oh, I believe that's your mother's building, isn't it, Miss Altshuler?"
And Rachel kind of like pauses and kind of just like takes a second and then looks up with, you know, a very professional smile on her face and says, yes, I think that is actually.
And he just
It's probably busy though.
Oh, I didn't mean to suggest anything. You must be proud.
Of course, how could I not be?
Yeah, and as you're kind of driving along, go ahead and make me an awareness test as well.
So that was wits and what?
Leader.
Wits and leader.
Sorry to only use one of your skills.
It's fine. I just needed to figure out which dice I needed to grab. 0 successes.
All right, yeah, you're very buried in your work, so Rachel does not see this, but we, as the audience, kind of see her, the car pull up, kind of stopped in traffic. We see Rachel inside the car, focused on her tablet, and outside of the car, we see this large billboard, an LCD billboard, and we just see flashing people in various uniforms. We see a Jaeger pilot duo with their helmets under their arms, standing proudly in front of their Jaegers. We see people in a dark room with terminals lighting their faces. And we see, people swarming over the kind of in-bay body of a Jaeger. And then kind of, we see all of these people walking out side by side, like doors opening, steam rising. And the person kind of in the center of this little triangle of people walking out in this commercial we see is Rachel, her hair kind of perfectly styled, and all of the people in the commercial kind of strike a little pose, and then we see Rachel kind of like make this gesture, and it just says PPDC, no one can do it alone. And at the end of the commercial, the light turns green and the car moves on, pulling up in front of a newly refurbished skyscraper that is close to the edge of the swath of destruction. And Rachel, as you get out of the car, you can double check on your calendar that this is indeed the location where you were asked to come and give an inspirational speech.
So yeah, I think I sort of check my reflection in the doorway. Like I assume it's kind of a glass doorway. So I kind of like check my reflection in it just to make sure, do a last minute check of makeup and everything, and then kind of like arrange my clothes and step inside with like full of confidence, very, I'm here, I'm ready, join us, it's great.
And as you're walking in, and this is going to be my hard move from that 0 successes on the awareness check earlier, as you're walking in, you can see down kind of across the street, as the car pulls away, you're kind of looking, and in the reflection you see across the street, there's a hotel. And outside of the hotel, you see a young boy just kind of holding onto a bell cart that is piled high with luggage and just sort of looking around. And he looks a little lost.
I will sort of turn around and call across the street. Do you need help?
And he kind of looks up at you and goes, sorry, I don't English.
I try again in Spanish.
And with that, his whole face kind of lights up, and he says, "Yes, I'm just waiting. It's okay."
All right. Well, enjoy your wait then. I hope it's not very long.
And yeah, as you're kind of like standing there, calling across the street, you see an older woman who looks quite a bit like the boy kind of come out and kind of pull him back in, clearly having the expression on her face like she's just resolved an argument with someone at the front desk.
I give him like a sympathetic look.
And he kind of grins a big, like, missing front teeth grin at you. And they wheel their way into the hotel, and the building is there in front of you.
All right, I head inside.
All right, yeah, you are checked in at the front desk. It's a very generic kind of glass and beige and, fake rock corporate office. The name of the company, you did some research on them, but it just seems like a sort of generic engineering firm. But as you are going into the elevator, you notice that the security in the elevator is significantly more expensive than the rest of the building would have led you to believe. The cameras are of an exceptionally good quality. These are just things that, as an engineer, I think you would notice.
I take note of this and still like maintaining the, haven't noticed anything, everything's fine, I'm ready to give a speech, and like sort of bracing myself a little bit. I have like my back to the back of the elevator, and I've sort of shifted the tablet to like put it in the bag I have with me, so that my hands are free if need be, and I'm kind of just humming a little bit tunelessly as I look around.
Absolutely.
As like kind of feigningly like I'm in an elevator, but also just trying to keep an eye for anything else out of place.
Well, the thing that catches your attention is that you pushed for the 16th floor, and the button has lit up, but the elevator just goes straight on past it. When the elevator finally stops and the doors open, it is on the second to top floor, the 32nd floor. And the doors open into a blinding bright view of San Francisco. And there's a short hallway, and down it you can see a conference room with a long table and 5 other people seated around it.
Out of curiosity to see if it works and if maybe it's just a glitch, or at least to seem like I'm guessing. I'm gonna try pushing the button for the 16th floor again and see if it does anything.
Yeah, you step forward to press the button, but you see one of the people at the table, summoned by the ding of the elevator door, has stood up, and he walks down the hall. He's a man in his probably mid-50s, once kind of blonde hair going white at the roots, kind of very tan in a like surfer kind of way. His hair is cropped fairly short, very expensive looking. Like, this man's clothes are probably worth, someone's whole monthly paycheck. Not yours, but someone's.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Ransom's probably. He goes, "Huh, Rachel, I'm so glad you could join us. Please, right this way."
Do I recognize him?
Yes, you absolutely do. This man's name is Ryland Altis. He is a CEO of an extremely powerful and wealthy telecommunications company. You have met him at some fundraisers, but more in a personal capacity and less in a professional one.
Well, I can't say I was expecting to see you, but this is a pleasure, certainly. And I sort of get out of the elevator and
Yeah, and he
follow him.
leans in close and he goes, "My apologies for all the cloak and dagger nonsense, but Dr. Park insisted." And he just flashes you a big grin.
Yeah, I say, someone thinks we're James Bond, do they?
And he goes, "I just pay the bills, don't ask me." He goes, "Come on in. I ordered Danishes." And the three of you see Rachel walk into the room from where you are seated around the conference table. Through subterfuge and mystery, you have all been gathered into this room. And as Rachel sits down, the last person to arrive, Dr. Park stands up. You kind of see her hands tense on the perfectly smooth mirrored surface of the table. She says, I need slightly less ominous music for this. Yeah, that'll work. She says, "Thank you all for coming. I'm sorry to have called you in these strange ways, but this is an extremely important matter and it must be kept quiet. I have contacted all of you because I believe you have the required skills, and I am hoping we can trust your discretion. If you don't feel prepared to undertake a secretive mission on behalf of the PPDC, I will understand. We will offer you some compensation, but you must leave now."
And what are you offering?
Well, she kind of glances over at Mr. Altis. "We would certainly be able to pay you an appropriate salary, $100,000 each for completion of this mission, plus potential bonuses based on our satisfaction with your results. And if our suspicions are correct..." She kind of looks down and Altis just kind of nods. And she goes, "If our suspicions are correct, you may have a chance to fly again."
Is this an official PPDC mission?
Not
I
exactly.
unmuted right as Thakkar was ready.
She kind of looks at you, Shailee. You see her like considering lying for a second, and then just saying, "Not exactly." Mr. Altis brought to my attention an unauthorized facility in a remote area of Russia. We believe that the Russian government is pursuing their own defensive strategies and may decide to pull out of the PPDC. Without their funding, the program will collapse. We need to know what they're doing, but tensions are already quite high. So an official investigation by the PPDC could accelerate things in a direction that is unacceptable to us.
Can't believe they'd really do that.
I could not believe it at first either, but Altus just kind of like brings his watch up and taps a couple of things, and the whole table just, you see a satellite map just sort of bump up in a hologram. It's a peninsula in, let me think here, northeastern Russia, right across the Bering Sea from Alaska. And it sort of zooms in from this sort of satellite view, zooming in, down to the base of this mountain, where you can see a small, what looks like, well, it looks small on the map, a large sort of factory complex. Dr. Park kind of says, with the additional readouts we were able to gain from these satellites, and she pulls up a couple of like sheets of numbers that kind of start flashing by. We are led to believe that the facility is capable of manufacturing Jaegers. However, they have not been tested or vetted by the PPDC. I'm sure you understand the danger that independent defense efforts pose to the success of the PPDC's mission.
I understand, but I don't understand why I'm here. I teach cadets how to fight, and as far as I know, Miss Altshuler is not a secret spy either.
Yes, same question. I didn't go looking to fly again. Don't y'all have people that do this?
I understand that, Ranger Cason, but this mission is extremely sensitive, and I have analyzed the available data. You are the most qualified people for this particular mission.
What exactly do you expect us to do if they are doing this? I mean, they're not doing anything illegal.
Technically, it is in violation of the Pan-Pacific Defense Accords. But most importantly, if we are able to establish proof that they are violating their terms, we can use that as leverage in negotiating. There is... and she kind of...
Pardon me, Doctor, but what you're saying isn't that we're the most qualified, but that we're the most expendable.
You see her kind of, all the color drains out of her face, and she goes, that is not an expected or an ideal outcome.
Speak for yourself, buddy. Some of us have important jobs.
Does your important job include being dragged into a skyscraper in San Francisco and being told that they want you to infiltrate a Russian base? No.
Can I take a look at the info that you got there?
Of course. And she slides the dossier over to you, and it kind of lands in front of your chair, kind of holographically projected from the tabletop.
We start sort of looking through it, and then he says, do you know what they call Danishes in Denmark?
Altus kind of kicks his feet up on a different chair and goes, I'd absolutely love to find out.
Pastries.
Rachel snickers a little bit.
Yeah, he's just sort of looking through the stuff. I imagine it all checks out, right? I mean, like, it looks like there's a Jaeger building facility that is not licensed by.
Make a science check.
Okay.
If you would be so good. You have advantage on this?
2 hit.
I think you do.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do have advantage on those. Still 2 hit.
Okay. Yes, the readouts for the energy and kind of like, you know, some like photos of like the sizes of shipments that are going in. It could definitely be, you know, it's definitely weapons grade stuff. It's definitely enough material to build a Jaeger. And the energy readouts that are coming out of here, kind of like they have like basically like satellite spectrometer. I don't know if that's a thing, but we're gonna go with it.
Spectrometry?
Like they got satellite
It's a thing in the
spectrometers.
future.
The
Present.
future of 2021.
Indeed.
Future present. That's what we're calling it.
It's certainly possible. That's not the only possible explanation, but it does seem likely. The other thing that you notice with the second success is there's, as you're sort of paging through the file, this chemical structure comes up, like a molecular structure. And there's like a ping on the map nearby of this really weird looking substance. You don't recognize it. It's a very odd crystalline structure. You've never seen anything like it. In fact, as you're looking at it, you're like, this shouldn't probably be possible. I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah. So Lee is like not even really looking that much at the people that invited them there, but he just sort of like looks around to you guys and is like, looks like it checks out. There's also
I look at the people who brought us here and see if I can get a read on if there's something they're not telling us. If there's,
Oh yeah,
you know,
I'm not done asking questions.
Oh,
today.
absolutely.
yeah, no, 100%. But also,
is there a particular particular thing they've said that you're trying to gauge their veracity in? A sort of general statement is a little less.
kind of, yeah, just like, yeah, I don't know, like just the vibes feel weird. Like, why aren't they having one of the, you know, many spy agencies of countries that are in the Accord? Well, no, that's, she has a guess as to why that is, but like, is there something else that's going on, other currents? Why have they involved Altus in this also? Like, is it just because he's a convenient place to use?
Here's what I would say.
I'm actually about to ask about that though.
So,
okay, I can
Rachel,
wait.
you can make me either an awareness check to, so like a heart plus leader check to try and like figure out if they're being truthful or hiding something, or you can make me a culture check to try and like figure out what you know about sort of the political dynamics of this situation.
Culture would be what?
Let me check my reference sheet here. Wits plus leader.
I have a better heart.
I believe that
But
you have advantage.
I have
on
advantage,
culture.
yeah, on culture, so I'll do that one. So do I have this? So heart leader or heart plus leader, you said, or wits plus leader?
Wits plus leader with advantage.
Okay. That back, grab that one. Dang, still no successes. I have no idea what's going on.
Here's what I'll say is you have also you also personally know Dr. Park. And like Shailee, you're aware that she recently was promoted so that she reports directly to Marshal Pentecost. You are guessing that this probably comes from the top. She's not saying that. It's definitely not authorized, but you know, that's sort of your suspicion.
Okay.
And you also know that you know that the money that comes in to the PPDC from Russia is a huge portion of the funding. So what she's saying about you know needing to have plausible deniability in all of their dealings with them and wanting info to kind of strong arm them in negotiation seems very plausible to you.
Okay.
You don't have any knowledge that specifically contradicts her.
Yeah. I am, though, also going to say, given that you've come to, as you put it, people who might fly again, rather than going to any of the various intelligence operatives you probably have access to. Would I be correct in guessing that you want someone to take these Jaegers as proof?
If they have Jaegers that are combat ready, then adding them to our stock would be an invaluable asset.
And where does Mr. Altus come in? PPDC, I'm sure, like any other military agency, has been engaging in black ops since the beginning. So why civilian money?
He leans over and he goes, I'm so glad you asked. You see, Dr. Parker used to work for me back before the whole, aliens invading situation. And the reason that I'm involved is because I'm the one who found out. I insisted on being involved. Well, let's just say I've had my life saved by the Jaeger program more times than I can count, and I would like to contribute to those efforts. And I've already maxed out my contributions to the PPDC. He grins. Yeah, you can. I actually think it would be a deception check because of for checking for deception.
Okay, and that
I believe
Wits
is
and Renegade, right?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Can I also roll for that? Because
Sure.
I hate this guy.
Sure. Oh, really? I thought you liked this guy.
Can I roll for hatred?
I gotta like him.
And
That is
I do
two
get
failures.
That's wits and what?
Wits and Renegade.
Wits and renegade. Dope. And I also get advantage on that.
Mm-hmm.
So remind me how advantage works.
Just add a d6.
Add a d6. Excellent. So I am rolling 1d6, 1d12, and 1d8.
Just need to add one more die and you'd have all of them.
That's a 7, a 7, and a 4.
All right, so that's 2 successes. Shailee, this guy's really charming and it's kind of distracting.
Yeah. She's like, you pretty.
Yeah, he is. He is handsome in the way that he's handsome in the way that only a lot of money can make you handsome.
Yeah.
Ransom, this guy isn't saying anything that's untrue. Everything he's saying is absolutely true. When he talks about having his life saved by Jaegers and being, making donations to the PPDC, all of that appears to be true. But you get kind of almost a sense of you've met people before who are kind of into Jaegers. You get the sense that he's
a Jaeger groupie?
Kind of, but not exactly. You get the sense that he really wishes he were a pilot and he's probably rich enough that he's built a little recreational mech for himself. So you get the sense that this is him kind of playing ranger. But the thing I will say definitely is that that's the vibe that you get, but there's definitely parts of the stuff that he's not saying.
So let me get this straight.
Sorry, one other quick thing. I realized that you would notice just based on what's going on. He's talking to you, he's talking to Shailee, but his eyes are also keep flicking over to Lee, and watching what Lee is doing, kind of digging through the data.
Angry monologue mostly because I thought of something funny and I want to say it.
Please.
So let me get this straight. You, and he points at the Ransom, just kind of points one gnarled old man finger at the dock. You want a bunch of washed up rejects from the Ranger program to go into a Russian base instead of sending an actual wet work team and gather intel or steal a Jaeger. And then you, Comcast Dundee, are just doing this out of the kindness of your heart.
I'm sorry, Comcast Dundee broke my mind.
I know. Shailee was so mad over here at the washed up rejects, and now like I got so distracted.
I thought it and I couldn't not let that go.
Beautiful.
As you shouldn't have.
Dr. Park kind of looks over and she goes, our intelligence indicates that the facility has been abandoned or potentially evacuated. So wet work should not be required, Sergeant Holt.
So
You think they left the tech there?
That is why I'm calling all of you now. It seems like we have a unique opportunity to investigate what they are doing. You'll be
If they
provided
left-
with all of the necessary protective equipment to investigate safely.
Is that why you're getting readouts for all these strange chemicals everywhere around?
And I like glance over and look at the chemicals and see if I can figure anything out. Not that I'm like a bio person, but just on the off chance I've seen anything from colleagues.
Yeah, make a science check.
You're our only science hope, I'm pretty sure.
Wits plus
Actually, he's better at
specialist.
science than I am.
Oh, really?
I think so. Right? Yeah.
Please,
What did you?
good
What
at
plus
Yeah,
specialist?
I'm more of the
wits
science.
plus
She's more of
specialist.
the engineer.
Yeah.
life sciences and
I
physics.
almost took science, but I didn't. That is 0 is a 10, right?
That's correct.
So 2 successes. Finally, I did something.
Nice. You have also seen like this. You got exactly the same thing as I'm gonna tell Lee, which is, you have not just because you're not specialized in this, because neither of you are specialized in this in particular. Would take 3 successes to identify it. However, I will tell you what you can tell about it, which is this is like a crystalline metallic structure, like molecular structure, but it shouldn't be. Like, it's not one that you've ever seen as being something naturally occurring. It has this very weird structure to it.
Well, if it's a metal, would I know more?
No, it has metallic elements. It's the structure is sort of halfway between like a crystalline structure and a metallic structure, which is what's weird about it.
So it's like a ferro crystal.
Not exactly. It does have a name, but again, neither of you would know what that is.
Both Hopper and Ransom hate this.
However, I think, Rachel, what occurs to you is you're sort of flipping back and forth. Lee is flipping back and forth between these sort of like two or three sort of samples of this, and there are some differences between them, which are definitely kind of like niggling at the back of your mind. You're like, there's something really weird about this. I don't know exactly what it is. I'd have to like compare it to some stuff, but like it's definitely giving you weird vibes. And if someone is experimenting with this, it's probably dangerous.
So
That's
just to further clarify, you're going to send us, the 4 of us, Captain Onion Rings over here, Jaeger Bobby, and you, who I don't know, you look very familiar, but whatever you do, and me, a person who hasn't piloted a Jaeger in a decade, or whatever. And you want us to go into a Russian base where they know they aren't supposed to be doing this because it could cause the collapse of the PPDC, to a place where they've evacuated and left millions, if not billions of dollars worth of tech just lying around without guards. And you don't know why that is.
I'm going to kind of look at the others and add on. By the way, would any of you happen to be biologists or know Russian?
Combat specialist.
That is essentially what we are asking of you, yes, Sergeant Holt. However, there's one thing I haven't told you. There is some talk in international circles about defunding the PPDC entirely and seeking alternative defense models. Not entirely sure what those are. Some people have floated discussions of building a wall. He
That worked
snorts
so well the
derisively
last time.
and says, any information, technology, political capital that we can obtain to influence the important decision makers away from that sort of dangerous thinking, the better off the world will be. I
Every
understand.
bone in my body. Sorry. Every
go
bone
ahead.
in my body tells me that I should leave here and not get involved, but I keep considering what might happen that I'm unaware of. I'd rather at least know whatever's going on and whatever you're going to do. He says if Russia backs out,
Fucked.
and then he literally just sort of leaves that trailing.
Oh, Queens.
I have a question about your mentioning us flying again. If you want us to pilot Jaegers out of there, you have to know. I, for one, can't go back into the drift anymore. Not without causing my massive psychological trauma to my drift partner. How do you propose we get around that?
He says, as with many things, that is mostly a matter of practice, Fight Master, and mostly a matter of who you're paired with. I have run all of your data through my scenarios, and I assure you they're top quality. Each of you has unique characteristics that I think are vital to both the success of this mission and the success of all of you as members of the PPDC. I could go down the list. You are not the only candidates for this operation. However, I believe you are the most likely to succeed, and to answer your question, Sergeant Holt, I am not eager to send anyone to their deaths. That's why I have called all of you. I genuinely believe that you have the best shot at success. And I hope that success is not just measured in information gathered or money earned. I think that the PPDC is a little too limited in its understanding of compatibility.
Interesting. Well, I understand the importance of the mission, and I'm willing to give it a try, but I've seen what happened to people who try to drift with me, and it's not pretty.
Yes. It is also possible, depending on what you find, that the Jaegers could be extracted without the need for pilots. We need on-the-ground information. I'm simply sending drift-compatible partners as an abundance of caution. If that is the only way to salvage them, that is what I am asking you to do. However, Altshuler leans forward again and says, however, I will have a sea-bound satellite launch platform, which is more than capable of holding a few Jaegers, idling off the coast, so you won't have to go very far if you do
I hope it's going to be hidden somehow.
And he says, absolutely. When you design satellite technology, you learn a few tricks. How to hide from satellite technology being one of them.
So not to be the old Luddite in the room, but I don't know much about current Jaeger tech. They don't kill you anymore, do they?
I believe that Ms. Altshuler is a bit better qualified to answer that question than I am, Sergeant.
But no. Not generally, anyway. Not the way the old ones did.
I had a feeling you were a Mark 1.
First in, last out, apparently.
And
He does
the
that,
age of
not
the
me.
rope.
That's him, not me.
Altus leans over to you and actually reaches into the interior pocket of his suit jacket and says, "That reminds me," and draws out a trading card and a Sharpie. He goes, "Would you mind?"
There is a war of emotions going on Ransom's face. And you just like there's the weirdness of like fuck this guy, but also like it's hard, the ego hit of like turning down somebody who's asking for your autograph is hard. And
He hands it over. It's mint condition.
Yeah, don't spend it all in one place. And Holt, the Ransom scrawls like Holt across like, I don't know, whatever the stat area is. I don't know where it's appropriate to sign a trading gig or trading card.
Same place you might sign a baseball card, just like across the picture.
Yeah. He takes it back from you, kind of raises it up in a like sort of cheers motion and tucks it back inside his jacket. And he goes, "I've personally outfitted a plane for your use, selection of arms and armor for you. If there's anything else that you need,
Something that can reliably translate Russian would probably be helpful,
absolutely."
given
We're just
Yeah.
using Google Translate on our
Well,
phones.
no, he actually does pull out a phone. I think just Rachel, I think all of you are aware of the fact that as a telecommunications guy, like his company makes phones, among other things. And kind of slides it over to you, and he goes, "This is a prototype still, but just hold it up to the camera, it should translate automatically."
hopefully better than Google does.
He goes, "Oh yeah, well, you don't have to worry about the coverage area. See, since we are satellite based, our networks can't be taken down by kaiju attacks, and you can still get service in the middle of buttfuck Russia. So you can even call your mum if you want. Although probably not, since you're on a top secret mission, right, Symphony?" And she just kind of like pinches the area between her between her eyes. She goes,
Pretty good.
"I would advise you not to call anyone in your families. At least not if you're going to tell them what you're doing. Which reminds me," and she kind of like grabs a big stack of paperwork from a
Yep,
table
there they are.
behind her.
At some point, as Rachel and Lee were like passing the data back and forth, looking at it too, I think there totally was like at least some sort of small aside or recognition of like Lee being like, "I gotta say, there's a lot of weird stuff that's been happening today, but you walking through the door is definitely one of the weirder parts. How have you been?"
Probably better than you.
Well, you make better commercials than I do, that's for sure.
Don't
Like-
worry, I won't tell anyone you say hi.
Also, do I really smell like French fries? It's so hard to get that smell out after you've worked all night.
A bit.
But it's
Like, I need-
it's not terrible. It just makes me hungry. God, I
I
don't
don't
think
even
I've
smell
had
it anymore.
years.
But it's like, anyway,
What's a simple
it is good
carb?
to see you.
Hmm.
Sorry, what'd you say? Puja?
Shailee's just like, what's a simple carb anyway?
Altus has taken out yet another phone from inside of his jacket. There's a lot of pockets in there. What can I say? And
Sexism, that's what it is.
yeah, that's true. And
I have a bag. He has 5,000 pockets in a suit jacket. Okay.
and
That doesn't ruin the line, apparently. So,
Yes.
like, you know that shit's expensive.
he glances at the Danishes in the center of the room and goes, "You know, I could go for some fries. Anybody else hungry?"
Always hungry.
Ransom gets up and leaves.
There's no door. It's just the elevator.
There's no bathrooms?
There's the bathroom, yes.
Totally, this is very clearly like, I'm going to the bathroom, but I'm choosing this moment because, like, no.
Yeah, basically there's
No
a bunch of
contest.
paperwork for you guys to fill out. It definitely does say, each of you will be compensated.
NDAs.
Yes, and like compensation agreement that if you bring back in intelligence and make it back, you will be paid $100,000. There's a clause if you don't make it back, basically a payout will go to your next of kin that is like double that. And if you are able to bring back a Jaeger, the bonus is significantly higher.
Rachel reads through the entire thing, having some
it reads a
experience
lot
with
like
NDAs.
So I assume it reads a lot like the Jaeger program. Paperwork, but with extra spy stuff.
Yes, and also there's a long section that I think all of you would notice about like full disclosure of all the intelligence you gather like immediately and things like that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does it include anywhere in this paperwork any kind of thing that legally prevents me from stealing his prototype?
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, not because I'm gonna.
I think it does have a provision that like all equipment provided must be returned unless irreparably damaged.
Okay, but like, is there anything preventing me from like opening it up, figuring out how it works?
No, not
stealing-
necessarily.
Okay, just out of curiosity, just thought I'd ask.
No, absolutely.
In case we need to know.
Good to know. And the other thing that is
payday.
in each of your stacks of paperwork is a folder. It is the folder is not marked with any of the PPDC stuff, but the forms inside are very clear, and they are like basically results of compatibility tests between you and another person at this table.
I think Shailee glances at hers briefly, but isn't incredibly impressed because she's seen these test results like this before. She's tried to drift with theoretically compatible pilots, and it's never worked. Yeah, she'll take a quick look and then push them away.
Shailee, the thing you do notice is that under all the normal forms, there is an additional form that you haven't, or like an additional like printout that you've never seen before, and it's like comparisons of waves and stuff. You don't really know what it means. You're not a neuroscientist, but you do remember Dr. Park kind of saying she did her own special analysis on your guys' various compatibilities. So you would guess this data is related to that.
Well, in that case, Shailee will pull that sheet out and push it towards Dr. Park and ask, so I haven't seen waves like these before. What do they mean?
Oh, well, it's a bit complicated to explain right now, but the brain operates on several different wavelengths, sometimes simultaneously and sometimes individually, such as when you sleep, you go through different cycles. I thought perhaps, given how the neural load is distributed, analyzing deeper brain wave patterns could be a good way to assess compatibility. As you'll see, these are the waveform patterns over time for you and for Sergeant Holt. And she kind of lines them up and says, you see how these two, the way that they intersect and then kind of balance out when you overlay these patterns?
Wait. Me and Sergeant Scowlface?
I did not see that as an alias listed in his file.
Yeah, well, I mean, it fits.
We'll have to add it.
But how old are these?
These results from your most recent tests.
And Shailee will look at Holt, just wondering when the hell his
Is he still
last
in the
test
bathroom?
was.
No, he's come back and he's taken his
Walking
paperwork
in
and
right at this moment.
like he's come back. He's like walking towards the paperwork, just kind of looking, just real grumpy.
I mean, you see what I'm talking about?
You have fun with that.
Says,
Oh, fuck.
I suspect that there is a balance that might exist between the two of you on a subconscious level. But you are used to assessing people for compatibility. Perhaps
Yep.
you should make your own judgments. I believe that Mr. Altis has provided some lodgings for you on the penthouse floor, and he kind of bounces to his feet excitedly and goes, I hope you'll find them satisfactory. Well, I'd love to hear what you think.
Well, as soon as she says that, Shailee's gonna pick a pen off the table and without saying anything, chuck it at Holt.
Holt I think Holt is like kind of leaning over the table doing the dramatic standing and like pressing his weight down, but really it's because his back hurts, but he's making it it's so cool. And just grabs it.
Make me a precision plus survivor.
I was hoping I could squeeze it past
No,
you.
no.
While you're rolling, Rachel sort of leans over to Shailee and says, at the very least, punching him will probably make you feel better.
I wonder if that's what we have in common.
Oh fuck yes, that's so many. That's an 8 and a 9. I roll 2d10s on
Oh, nice.
for those.
Yeah, yeah. He snatches it out of midair without even looking up.
Drop this.
Yeah, I think that might be it.
And I think that is a perfect place for us to go ahead and take a quick break. Guys. And now the four of you are being shown into the penthouse residence in this skyscraper. The elevator on the 32nd floor dings open, and you all get in. Yes, Ransom.
Ransom does not take the elevator. Ransom takes the stairs.
There are no stairs.
There are no stairs?
Not from what
Seems
you
like
can
a
see.
fire hazard.
That's thank you. All right, I guess I'm taking the elevator because
This work site isn't OSHA compliant either.
Yeah.
Bioshock.
Or if there are, you don't see where the door is. It's not clearly marked with an exit sign. Let's put it that way.
There is definitely a John Travolta moment where you see this old ass soldier just kind of like not wanting to be in an enclosed space with all these people and also not trusting elevators.
Important question. Is there awkward elevator music as we're riding down in the elevator?
You're actually riding up.
Up in the elevator.
and,
Is there like elevator music? Is it
Oh, of
like
course.
we're just standing around awkwardly while Girl from Ipanema plays?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you won't.
I think while they're... Sorry, go ahead.
Don't go ahead.
I was saying while they're in there, I think Shailee's gonna... Because she's kind of watching Ransom now, she's gonna look at him and be like, chill out, Pops. You've been in a Jaeger that tried to kill you. I think you'll be okay in an elevator.
Yeah, Ransom just kind of looks over at you and just kind of does the side eye and just kind of stands at rest very decidedly.
And because I missed it, how old is he?
He is technically 44. He looks like a
So Pops, not Gramps. I just wanted to make sure.
Pops. Yeah,
Looks like
he
right
does look like a rough 50.
Yeah, he's like 44
Yeah.
going on 80.
He looks like Gramps.
Yeah, Ransom looks much older than he is, and probably Altis looks much younger. Just it's like ages.
He stole your aging.
Yeah, pretty much. That's why you hate him.
Money
Another
buys
thing?
skincare.
Yeah.
Before we leave, Rachel does ask for copies of all of this, like,
Yeah,
paperwork
it's
evidence,
provided.
whatever that
It's already
we were
provided.
looking through.
Oh yeah, Altis just kind of grins and goes, "Just wait." And as the elevators slide open on the top floor, you can see this beautiful panoramic view of San Francisco from this kind of like lounge area. There is a table that just has 4 kind of small tablets on it. Which, as he says, just wait, he kind of gestures in that direction. Rachel, you were guessing that they're probably loaded with mission dossiers. There is also a sort of beautiful kitchen bar and some doorways leading off in different directions. And then a hallway as well. Altus kind of steps up next to you, Shailee, and goes, I want to take a gander down that hole. I think you might like what you find.
Shailee will smile at him and just say, I think I might. And she's headed straight there because she has an idea of what's there and she wants to go play.
Yeah, absolutely. He kind of gestures like bathrooms down there. There's a couple of bedrooms. Should be plenty for you. We've got some things in your sizes, but just you'll find an app called the Catalog on these tablets. Any kit you want for your mission that you find in there, just select it, and I'll have it delivered by the morning.
Generous.
Lee's just kind of had his head in this like readout of the like personality thing like the whole time. I think even like in the elevator, just like sort of coming up and just like trying to like decipher it or figure out what is going on at all. Trying to compare it to like the memory of like other readouts like this he's seen before, but also like trying to actively avoiding thinking about the past. And he like sort of shakes it off eventually, and he just sort of looks at Rachel and he's like, maybe I would be better at making commercials than I thought.
Shailee, as you walk down the hallway, a door at the far end just kind of slides open on your approach, and a series of lights automatically light in the room beyond. And you can see it's a little bit smaller than regulation, but there is indeed a Quoon training room inside of this penthouse apartment.
What a
Excellent.
fucking nerd. This guy is such a fucking dweeb. He's a Jaeger dweeb.
It's perfect.
This is totally his penthouse. Like,
Here's what I'll say, Ransom. It doesn't look like anyone has ever lived here. It looks extremely new.
oh, okay. So this is really just for this.
Or you get the sense, probably, yeah. I mean, you've worked in construction. Like, some of this stuff has like you like find like a sticker on the sink, like it's never been used.
You can smell that fresh
Yeah.
drywall scent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ransom is just kind of is going off to look for a bunk, figure out what the deal with accommodations are, and then kind of dumps his shit somewhere. And I think actually probably ends up going down to the training room.
Rachel's gonna follow the way everyone else to the training room, mostly because she really wants to see the two of them fight. She thinks it'll be entertaining.
Yeah, Lee also goes to the training room, obviously.
Although she does grab the tablet on her way. I assume the others, the important people, have left by this point. Or
Yeah.
are they still like standing there while we're all going our separate ways?
No, I mean, you see the two of them kind of sit down at the breakfast bar and kind of like heads together, like talking. They clearly know each other. And Calais, I think you may know and have like thought back of like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure Dr. Park used to work for Alta Sky before she came to the PPDC. I think that she mentioned that earlier as well. Like, clearly the two of them have a history, know each other, trust each other.
So then before she goes, she'll just make sure that there's nothing else they need immediately from them.
No, Dr. Park says, no, please, take your time. You know how important it is to get a feel for any potential partner. Alta says, I'll have the plane all ready for you tomorrow sometime before noon. Hopefully we won't miss this very important window.
Hopefully.
And then Dr. Park says, and I'm afraid this evening I have to fly out. There is a PPDC conference in Honolulu.
Good luck.
Lee sort of slips into the fighting chambers after everyone, I think, and I think probably notices Shailee checking it out, and then he's like, I could have sworn I recognized you. You're a fight master, aren't you? Sorry, the accent just completely disappeared there for a second.
Yeah, in Anchorage. And Shailee, when you walked in, she was probably just using one of the staffs and just like doing a couple of the standard moves. But when you come up to talk to her, she is going to hand one to you.
To me?
She's back in trainer mode. And she's going to wait for Rachel to come in. And when Rachel comes in, she's tossing one to her and say, the doc might say your brains and, well, our brains are compatible, but I really think there's something to being able to predict how you're going to behave in combat. If we're even going to be in Jaegers, but if you need to trust each other with your life, you got to make sure that you're going to move the same way.
Rachel kind of glances at him and says, with my life, maybe.
And then Lee says, don't worry, I never was very good at this. It's like, they always said I was stiff. And then you see him sort of like try to loosen up.
Yes!
And we change
Stretches.
I was gonna say, yeah, there are you see like a big pile of kind of like, you know, various like unisex sizes of like ghee stacked up in one corner.
Yeah. So Rachel kind of unlaces her shoes. She's wearing like, you know, combat boots essentially, but like nice ones.
Fancy combat boots.
To fit the aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know, like they're functional. Like
Designer
they're very
combat.
functional. They're just also like, you know, look good.
That's okay. You gotta
she
do this
changes.
barefoot, so it tracks.
Yeah, so she changes, you know, into eating them.
Ransom walks in as Lee is doing bad calisthenics, and just kind of walks over and just starts doing like the proper form. But when he does it, it sounds like somebody's like kind of crunching a bag of marbles.
Bubble wrap?
Yeah, it's
Rice
like
Krispie
bubble
joints.
wrap and marbles.
Rice
It's just
Krispie
like,
joints.
yeah. Oh yeah. There's
I have them
like
too.
there's right, same. And there's just a lot of popping and a lot of cracking and like I'm gonna
He
take
pulls one of those, like, you know, those headbands that like soccer players often wear to keep their long hair around. It's like sort of skinny. He puts one of those
Yeah.
on.
oh my god, you're like a sweatband.
Yeah. But like one of those slim ones. That goes
One of
too
the
far
skinny
back.
ones. One of the skinny ones that don't make sense to anyone with actual long hair as to how
Right.
they.
Yeah, exactly. When you have like hair that would just barely be too long.
I love it.
Oh, soccer. Sorry, football. For the rest of all of our audience that cares about that.
Yeah.
All right, so it's Rachel versus Lee.
This will go well.
Here's what I want. I want you to tell me kind of what approach are each of you taking? What are you doing? Because obviously you're trying to hit each other with sticks. That's obvious. But how are you doing it?
I
After
don't know how I'm
you.
approaching it. Okay. Lee is lackadaisical about it. He says, like, I never understood why this tested compatibility anyway. I mean, why would we try to hurt each other if we're supposed to be compatible with each other? And then that sort of like lingers. He kind of like, you kind of like might notice him like sort of like not be that vocal after he says that. But then, you know, so he's sort of lackadaisical about it. Maybe playful at first, but then maybe even sort of lost in it for a second.
I think Rachel. Overall, she's like fairly formal about it, but she does probably while he's like standing there saying this. At the beginning of the sentence, she's like nodding, but then before he finishes the sentence, like while he's in the middle of his thing, she goes for a crotch shot with a staff.
Okay, I think this is trying to spring
Like,
the
she does a
element,
sudden, like, try
element
and-
of surprise, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
go ahead and call this a deception roll.
Okay, so that's Renegade and
Renegade and Wits.
Is that's right. Sweep the junk.
oh, and I have advantage on that.
Ah! You have advantage on crotch shots.
She's got the straight face.
Yeah.
Like she's looking him dead in the eye, like not looking at him like at his like
Yeah.
motions, just looks like she's listening to him, and then just whack. I really hope this works, because if not, it'll be less funny. Nope.
Remember,
Ah!
you can push yourself to re-roll all those dice if you want to.
That's true. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. All right. So mark 3 stress against your limit.
Mm-hmm.
First push of the game is to hit your own partner in the junk.
And that is what. This is how I know you guys actually understand what Pacific Rim is all about. It's not about giant robots.
Change dice.
It's
We'll see how this goes.
not about aliens. It's about feelings.
It's about people.
Oh my god.
Still nothing.
Oh.
All right. So I think this is what happens, Rachel.
Wow.
You bring it up. Lee, you see it just at the last second and are able to kind of like step back and bring in your own kind of thing for a not super elegant block. But what happens is these staffs were mostly purchased for someone who thought they looked good. So Rachel, you swing and it cracks, it connects really solidly, and you just see a little crack kind of run up the side of it.
And she just smiles at you beautifully, like her face has not altered at all. She's still just smiling at you.
And then Shailee will say, "Focus, Mr. Cason. You're supposed to try to predict how she'll act."
And that one you really should have been able to guess.
I mean, yeah.
All right, Lee.
Yeah, Lee is sort of taking it all in and was legitimately surprised that, like, you know, he knows that she knows, and he knows that there's probably bad blood for sure. But I still think he's like intimidated by trying to have to like form a bond with this person. And I think Lee has been dealing with a lot of stuff and has just been like piling a lot of stuff on top of himself, and has just been trying to like take it and stuff it down or whatever. And so I think as that like really tough shot comes in at him, and he can tell that she 100% was going for it and that like it just barely missed. And I think he just sort of like, even though she has like the expert smile on her face, he can tell that there's like the just
The
how
fuck
funny.
hopper.
No, it's good. It's like popcorn. But so I think he, as Shailee says to focus, Lee sort of like steps himself back into like the mindset of like whatever she dishes out, I can take. So as after that hit, Lee is just going to sort of like wait for anything that comes his way in an attempt to just like block 100% of like whatever she throws at him.
All right. Sounds good. I would like you to roll an awareness test. However, I think this is going to be, instead of leader, this is going to be wits plus your drift rating. Because you're just trying to like be in sync with her. Your drift rating, since you just started, is currently a D6.
That sounds good. I do have advantage on awareness. Does that apply?
Yes.
Okay. Ooh, I did not get any hits, but I will also push myself.
Hell
'cause
yes.
I also
Hell
care
yes.
about
Yes.
that. 2 hits.
All right.
And I'll take 3 stress.
Yes. So I think for the 2 hits, what happens is Rachel comes in with a like really kind of side move. Lee, you manage to block once, block a second time, and then because you got 2 hits, you managed to just tag a single strike, a first point. Kind of you block and are able to kind of slide your staff up and just tap Rachel, not hard, but definitely get a score right on the outside of her hip.
I'm so tempted to use my once per session ability in this, but I feel like probably I shouldn't and should probably save it.
You're normally supposed to use it on NPCs.
Yeah, I know.
Because
That's
it's like
why I'm
controlling people's opinion.
yeah.
Just in terms of like good gamer etiquette.
Yeah.
Agency
I mean,
and all that.
it would give me no, but like for the advantage on skill actions taken towards them. Anyway.
Yeah, so I think Justin, Lee is kind of like watching you, and Rachel, as he's just kind of watching you, you kind of like almost get this little sense that like you feel that he can feel that you're angry and upset with him, and you almost feel a little bit of like acceptance of like, yeah, I can take it.
So at that, she'll probably sort of take a step back, like kind of reset. And I think this time she'll wait for him to come at her.
Okay. In what way?
So far, she's done all the attacking, so she's gonna, at this point, sort of just like raise an eyebrow at him and kind of do like a "come at me, bro" kind of look.
Well, that sounds like some intimidation then.
Sure, I'll take it.
You're trying to like throw him off his game, like, oh, he thinks he's
Now
cool
I've
with
thrown
it?
him off
Yeah.
his rhythm.
Yeah.
All
right.
Street smarts.
All right. So this intimidation would call for toughness and renegade. I will let you sub one of those dice for your drift die if you would like.
I mean, my drift die is a 6,
Correct.
so it wouldn't actually change anything anyway.
Oh,
It would only, if anything, it would lower it because my toughness is a 6.
fair enough.
And what did you say, renegade?
Yes.
And this will go super well.
I'm just loving this pairing. I'm picturing this pairing of like the poster child, the Jaeger Rosie, and like the doc with the hairband, and like, oh, just what a pair.
So yeah, she's just gonna kind of like. I'll wait until I see what I roll, and then I'll figure out what I say. And I do not have advantage on this, which is unfortunate because it'll probably go poorly. Are you kidding me? This is where I get 2 successes. With a D6 and a D8. 2 6s.
Nice.
Yeah, I think if I may, unless you have a strong idea, and if so,
I was just gonna taunt him and see if I can get under his skin. But
yeah, I mean, I think you absolutely do, and I think you're kind of like watching him, looking deep into his eyes and trying to like basically psych him out. And as you kind of make this verbal jab, you can almost feel like exactly how well it's working. And you kind of see the swipe before it starts to happen. And are able to kind of like push it aside, spin around behind him, and tap him like way across the back, like a big strike. But there's this like bad taste at the back of your mouth as you do it. Also each of you is now rattled because you've been hit.
Oh.
I forgot. I gotta play by the rules of this game.
Justin, hoisted by your own petard.
Rather than to 5 hits, because I think that's what they do in the thing, we're gonna do 2 out
I
of
think
3.
it's 4.
Yeah, we'll do 2 out of 3
Sure.
just for ease.
So it's 1 and 1 right
1
now?
and 1.
Okay. Did Rachel say, I know she sort of generally taunted me. Did she say anything specifically?
Yeah, that's. A good question.
I think what she said was. I had a thought, and then it flew away some point when I was like, "Wow, I actually succeeded. I hadn't expected this to work. I didn't think I'd get this far." I speak entirely in names. I apologize.
You could just generally taunt me too. That's fine.
Yeah, she'll probably sort of continuing the thought from earlier. She'll probably say something like, "Yeah, I trust you with my life, I think. With my heart, maybe not so much."
Yeah. And so that does get a rise out of him, especially because I think he had just pushed himself so hard to try to like block all of your hits. And then you say that, and then like he does come out after you really quickly, sloppily, and then you hit him once. And I think you get him pretty good, and it sort of like snaps him out of it for a second. And then he is going to attempt to, it's just sort of like catching his breath, sort of like knock the wind out of him maybe a little bit. And as he's sort of catching his breath, he just sort of like moves in towards you and starts throwing a few very lazy, he throws a couple of attacks at you that have a lot of openings, put it that way. Almost as if he's trying to throw the match. Whether or not that's apparent, I don't know.
Okay. I would accept for this either influence, because you're basically trying to like persuade her into doing, like, you're trying to control her actions, or I would accept also just straight up hand-to-hand combat to see how like technically you can execute it.
Okay, they're about the same for me. I'm just gonna do the it would be wits and leader for the influence, is that right?
Heart.
Oh, heart and leader. Never mind, then I will do the hand-to-hand.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, so
Am I rolling like any whatever the equivalent of insight would be, or am I just
he's doing the just hand-to-hand thing, so
I only got 1 success.
all right. I think that means that she's definitely engaging with you, but Rachel, you get the sense that he's like running some sort of trick.
I have a good nose for a con,
Yeah.
or at least for when someone's trying to sell me something.
He's definitely like giving you openings to hit him, but I think you maybe are like, oh, this must be some sort of trap. Like you wouldn't just give up this easily.
Yeah.
You can, if you would like to, make an awareness check to try and kind of gauge what he's doing. And like in the equivalent of an insight.
Would that be my action for the round, or would that be?
Yeah, I mean, well, depending on how you roll, it would determine whether or not you actually go in to hit him or not.
Sure, why not? Awareness was leader and wits, right?
This is gonna be, I think, wits plus drift.
Okay. And
Just
drift is
'cause-
still a 6, right?
Yeah, just because this is like
Makes sense.
getting into his head.
Eight. One
Right,
success.
that is 1 hit. So I think you're kind of trading back and forth. So I guess it's up to you. I think Rachel, you can I think at this point tell that Lee wants you to hit him. It's not a trick. He's trying to let you win. How you feel about that and what you do with it is up to you.
So you're saying that it's not a trick?
It's not a trick, right, Justin?
No.
He's trying to throw the match.
she's just kind of gonna take like a big step back, like out of his range, and just kind of give him a look of like, honestly, it's probably vaguely offended. But she's just going to say, if you're not going to actually make the effort for us to figure each other out, then I'm not sure there's a point to this.
All right. Do you want me to respond to that? Yeah, I mean, at that point, the jig is up, and she is getting on his nerves, I think, at this point. And he tried to like let her win. She's obviously got his number backwards and forwards, and he's just frustrated. And yeah, he does just charges in and attempts to do like a quick, like 2 strikes and then like 1 quick in with a jab towards her.
Absolutely. Hand to hand.
All right. 1 success.
All right. Yeah, I think he just comes at you with this kind of all of a sudden, almost, you know, the taunting before and now this. It just seems like he's like really mad. Yeah, he comes in and I think just deals you 1 more tap on the shoulder. It's quite close. And your staff is almost about to hit him. He just gets there just a little bit sooner.
Point.
And so I think in that case, because you would be struck again, that means that you take a condition, Rachel.
Yep.
I will let you pick one rather than rolling, since I think that's more fun. Your choices are angry, hopeless, afraid, guilty, or insecure.
I think narratively, probably guilty makes the most sense, because she's feeling a little bit bad about, like, deliberately poking at him.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
he
he really seems angry. In fact, Lee, I'd like you to go ahead and roll me a willpower check, just because, you know,
Sure.
you're kind of being a little overwhelmed by your emotions here, and you're already pretty rattled from this fight. So this is just
Are you calling willpower hearts?
Heart and leader, I do believe.
Okay. All right, I do have advantage though. 1 success.
All right, that is all you needed to avoid getting another condition. However, you are still rattled.
Yeah, no, you see him, he is kind of fuming a little bit, but he does, woe to you at the moment where it ends. He's just like, good match. And then he just sort of walks away.
I walk away.
Am I still rattled, or did that go away? Because
No, it goes away when you get a condition.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought, but I wanted to check.
Yes. Yeah, so you now are under the guilty condition, which I believe means you cannot roll your
Cannot use
wits
wits.
die.
Mhm.
Yes.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's rough, man. You gotta talk about your feelings to get better.
Gross. Disgusting.
I know.
Hate it.
Just for our listeners, really quick aside, this whole conditions system I have grafted onto the wonderful Beamswords and Bazookas to make this game a little bit more about feelings. I stole it pretty much whole cloth from Masks by Magpie Games. Just giving credit where
Very
credit
good
is due.
game.
An excellent, truly amazing game. All right, so Lee storms out. And Rachel, what are you doing? Are you leaving the room as well, or are you sticking around?
I think.
To be clear, I don't think I would leave the room. I would definitely sort of like sulk over to the corner though.
Sure, yeah. It's
Yeah.
not an especially large room, just FYI.
Because I gotta see
yeah.
Fight Master at the car fight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So she's probably, when the fight ends, she does, bow as proper and stuff. And she'll probably I'm gonna assume that we're gonna use fresh stabs because these ones are kind of falling apart a little bit. So she'll like put it aside and she'll probably go on like the same side of the room, but on like the other end of that, like give him some space because she's like, he probably now is not the time.
Yeah, you're feeling a little bad. Yeah, exactly. All right. So Shailee, you've just watched this match.
Yeah. Where is Ransom?
Still, like he had kind of butted in and called a point earlier. He's in the room. He's kind of over by the staff rack. I don't even know, rack of staffs.
Staff rack, sure.
Staff rack.
Thank you for doing that so that I did not have to. I appreciate your sacrifice.
You're welcome.
That's the quality we're here for, folks. Yeah, Ransom's just kind of standing over there and just kind of watching with an extremely like just pure gunny, just watched a shit show go down. Like, look at these fucking greenhorn recruits. Like, there is no subtlety in this old battered ass man face. He's just like, he looks disgusted. Oh,
Well,
what a dick.
now that they have something to talk about, you ready to go, Pops? And Shailee's gonna grab a staff and head to the middle of the coon floor.
How old are you?
Old enough to have been doing this for years.
You might be old. You might be young enough to actually be my kid. Let's go.
Maybe.
Unsettled.
The
Like,
incredibly
Shailee's like-
disgusted face you made just then was
Shailee was just like, I have to fight my dad? It was that moment.
Yeah, so
I have to be on an old man?
All right. So, yeah, the two of you are armed and standing in the center of the coon floor. What
Yeah,
are you
I think-
doing?
I think, Ransom gives like a couple more exploratory flexes to make sure all the, you got to do a lot more stretching the older you get, especially when your body's battered to hell, and looks kind of.
I think Shailee. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And kind of gives like a little head nod to you. We'll see whether an old dog can't teach you some new tricks.
And then Shailee has her staff up, and she's just casually doing the standing splits against it. She's just like, I'm ready if you are, Pops. I'll try to keep it light.
We'll see about that.
And as they take position, I think Shailee's gonna look at him and say, all right, age before beauty.
Fair enough. All right.
What's your approach, Ransom?
Ransom is an old dog with some tricks. I think Ransom is gonna. Ransom, despite his appearance, knows how to fight dirty. He's a soldier. He knows exactly. You never, ever. Despite I saw the. Despite his appearance, look, he's not a choir boy. Dirty tricks keep you alive. So I think Ransom is just kind of just definitely does a little bit of a prowly moving forward, has the staff, gives it a couple exploratory, almost casual twirls before basically closing as much distance as possible before kind of spinning and attempting to do it's kind of a half spin and attempting to whip out and go for the legs.
Okay. Are you basically attempting to surprise her by the suddenness of your movement, or are you just relying on brute force?
No, this is absolutely about old man can't fucking fight. No, there's no way he's winning this by brute force.
All right. I would go with, in this case, precision and renegade for like doing a dirty trick.
All right. Okay, precision and oh well, that's love that. That'll be it. me double check. Yep. Okay. That is a 5 and a 3.
All right, so 1 success. I think just given how good Shailee is at this, you need 2 successes to hit her. Like, she's really just has a base level goodness at this.
I'm also a duelist.
Yeah.
Which means I have an advantage when defending against melee weapon attacks when I'm equipped with a melee weapon. And if I successfully defend, the attacker is rattled.
Ooh. Do you
Yeah,
have
so-
to roll to defend?
I don't know.
Technically, all this shit applies at mech scale, where those sort of combat rules come in. So what I'm doing with that is just translating it so that it requires 2 hits to hit you.
That makes
Requires 2 hits. Okay.
And if he gets no hits, he'll get rattled because you defended so good.
Okay.
So
Cool,
that is
cool,
how
cool,
I'm
cool.
going to translate it for this because we're not doing defense rolls.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think with 1 hit you swing in, you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna hit, and then out of nowhere her staff is just like there. It was a move that definitely needed to be defended. I think Shailee, it's probably a little bit harder than you were anticipating, but still not beyond you.
Does that make it my turn? Shailee is going to flick her staff under where Ransom's staff was to like toss it in the air, and in a swift movement just try to get a quick technical point on the thigh.
Ooh,
like
yeah.
her approach isn't sneakiness, isn't brute force, it is just technical prowess.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that is gonna be probably precision and survivor, like an acrobatics kind of thing, like just how precise and good at combat you are. And I believe you have
So
an
is it
advantage.
acrobatics?
On that. Yeah, it's gonna be an acrobatics.
Because I have advantage
Yeah.
on acrobatics.
Because it's like flipping it up under, catching it, moving it. It's about your coordination and.
Listen, y'all, Shailee's good at like one thing. You're looking at it. So ask her to figure out what's wrong or problem solve. No. Hit a thing? Yeah.
But Puja, you made a character whose primary goal is to hit things. No, not you.
He was not. It's Pacific Rim. It's not my fault. Also, that's 3 5s.
Woo! All right, 3 successes. I think with that you're able to get the technical point, but you also and Ransom's knee kind of buckles, and you just see the perfect opportunity to like hook his leg with your heel, not even with the staff. It's up to you if you take it. You definitely see that opening though.
Oh, she's taking it.
Yeah, it's not an
Pops
extra
needs
point.
to know what Shailee can do.
It's not an extra point. It doesn't get you anything other than the satisfaction.
It's for the satisfaction.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Ransom, Shailee does this weird thing where she like throws her staff up in the air, and you just feel it tap ever so gently against your thigh, and she just smiles at you before you hit the floor. And you are rattled. That's 1 hit.
So I have the ability Rage, which means I have a +2 damage rating while you are rattled. And additionally, you can still benefit from advantages while rattled.
Indeed. So I think what this is going to do is if you hit her, it's 2 hits. But again, you have to score 2 hits to hit her.
Okay.
So she's hard to hit, but he hits hard.
Yeah. So
Justin, does this seem like an appropriate adjudication?
I'm going to do something. I'm gonna high risk, high reward. All right. Another trait that I have is Adrenaline Junkie. Gain a +2 damage rating to the next melee attack you make when you boost your move rating. I don't know what that means.
This is all mech stuff.
Yeah, they're kind of mech.
That one I'm gonna limit to mech because it's like, ooh, yeah, give me the nos. You can't.
Why does that
use
sound
the
so
nos
familiar?
on
Is that
your
a
body.
Fast and Furious reference?
It might be. I've never seen a single Fast
The
and
Nos
Furious
is
movie.
definitely all over Fast and Furious.
Yeah. I mean,
And
it's
now
so early on.
magnets.
And now it's space.
And magnets.
What a glorious train wreck of a trilogy. We definitely need to do a flight of sometime.
Trilogy?
Yeah.
Trilogy?
Sorry. 11 movies, whatever. Series.
There you go.
Saga?
Yeah, epic. Anyways, all right, cool. So I guess, I would like to. Here's an. I'm like looking at my character sheet because Shailee is extremely competent. Is there a way to use deception to give myself a bonus?
It's not even gonna be a bonus. It's just gonna be to hit her. Yeah, you can just roll deception. To
I
try
can
and,
just roll deception because I get advantage on that.
to do like fainting and coming in on her.
I would like to faint.
You can just roll deception to try and hit her.
So I think the way
Gosh,
this works.
we know you're old, but you're fainting? Wow.
I know.
Different kind
Well,
of
you know what
faints,
it tracks?
you guys.
So I think the way this plays out is like you see Ransom do something that old man probably shouldn't be able to do, but like he is clearly using the righteous indignation of being beaten up by a young whippersnapper. And just kind of leverages the youths. Teenagers, I don't know. And he leverages himself up very fast, and then goes to make a faints very hard, as if he's swinging from the knee, just with raw power, but is going to instead attempt to twist that around. So I'm rolling deception. What am I rolling for that?
That
for a
will
feint?
be wits plus renegade.
Wits plus renegade. Okay. And I have advantage on that, so I'm rolling a d6 as well.
Indeed.
I'm gonna push myself.
Yes, all the pushing only to hurt our friends.
To hurt our friends.
PvP.
Okay, that went from a 3-3-1 to an 8-8-5.
All right, so that is
Nice.
3 hits. So yeah, he faints in. Shailee, you're at this point, I think, maybe underestimating him a little bit because of how easy you were able to do that first takedown. So you go in to block the hit, and he faints much faster than you were expecting. And yeah, it kind of just catches you in the gut, and it is an ugly hit. It hurts really bad. In fact, you're gonna go ahead and, because it's 2 hits, because he hits really hard, you're gonna just straight up take a condition.
Okay.
Because that's 2 hits, so it'd be getting rattled twice.
I feel so
essentially.
that's so shitty and unprofessional, and I, the player, feel horrible. I'm sorry for my disaster child. Disaster dad? Disaster dad?
I don't know. He hasn't shown very many dad traits.
Yeah. My disaster
uncle?
disaster uncle.
Definitely uncle.
Like this is
Like the drunk uncle you don't really want to talk to at parties.
I don't know if he's that
Just,
bad.
like,
I'm gonna give him a little bit
sits-
more benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna say it's uncle who you don't trust not to start a fight.
He's like sitting in the corner by the bar during the fight, like during the party, and he's just like not talking to anyone. He's just glaring if you try and go near him.
So,
Yeah.
Puja, which, again, you are welcome to choose your condition to see which one makes most sense. You may choose angry, hopeless, afraid, guilty, or insecure.
I'm trying not to go straight shimbo.
I mean, angry makes sense. I would say angry or
I'm
insecure.
debating between angry and like afraid
Yeah.
because she is a little concerned that they're right about this old geezer.
Okay, yeah, I love it. Well, we'll go with afraid then. Yeah, so mark
So
that
what
down.
happens?
You cannot roll your toughness die.
Okay.
However, it does not.
For my edification, which bit are you afraid they're right about?
that she's drift compatible with this grouchy old ass fucker?
Oh,
That's okay.
funny.
I wanted to double check that. That's what I thought you meant. But
That's not
Yeah,
how I
no.
interpreted
It's what does
so
it
I'm
say
glad you're-
about her that she's drift compatible with this guy?
All right. So, so each of you have one hit. Hopper, while your trait allows you to kind of score the 2 hits and direct inflict a condition, because that's basically the equivalent of damage here, it still
one
only counts
point.
as 1 point. Yes. Sorry, I know that's confusing. So.
Oh no, I think I got that. So that was you went, I went.
Yep.
All right.
So yeah,
So it's
Shailee,
my
I
turn
think it's you.
again.
Yeah, I think Ransom's gonna stand up and just kind of gives like a dirty, like old, like that's fucking right, kid, kind of smirk at you and like stand back and then like hold the staff. That's the context for it.
So once Shailee stands up, she'll say, "It must be a long time since you've been in one of these rooms, Sarge. We don't hit that hard in training." And before he can say anything to defend himself, she would like to go like swing her staff like past Ransom and go with her elbow. Go with her elbow instead.
Okay, yeah, this is definitely going to be a hand-to-hand combat roll, which is toughness plus survivor.
I can't roll that. I can't do toughness.
You can't roll toughness. However, I will allow you to roll your drift die in its place.
And if I'm rattled, it means I don't get advantages, right?
Correct, unless you're Ransom.
Okay, so it's toughness. It's a drift die plus what?
Survivor.
Okay, that's not terrible. Whoa, that's a 6 and a 2.
Okay, so that's 1 hit. So you do connect with your elbow, which you, being a very good Queen instructor, know does not count as a point. But yeah, Ransom, she comes in and saying we don't hit that hard in training. I didn't.
This wasn't meant to like double you over. No. This is more to needle you.
Yeah,
Love
but you can kind of you see it kind of coming in and expect it to hurt because you know you're used to getting hurt. And Shailee, you feel for a moment that Ransom expects you to sort of retaliate, and even though you weren't intending to, you're able to even kind of make it just a little bit more of a to show you I could little tap. As you kind of go by and twirl your staff ornamentally as you kind of face off. So it's no point, but both of you kind of just feel that moment, and kind of right as she's like jabbing you, Ransom, you guys lock eyes, and you kind of you sense this almost sort of like, wait, why would I do that to you? Feeling like beneath that needling and sarcasm, you sense a little bit of sincerity. Like, no, we don't do that. I'm not gonna do that to you.
Fair. I think you kind of see you see like probably a certain amount of emotion. Again, this is not a man who is subtle with his emotions in combat, especially. And you see kind of like the expectation of pain, the surprise, the almost like criticism, like why would you not, followed by a kind of sense of a clear sense of not remorse, but questioning. Remorse is a strong word.
Just a scooch of guilt?
A little. I think it's a scooch of guilt combined with with like a tablespoon of respect.
All right. So, what would you like to do with that lovely recipe, Ransom?
Ransom's gonna still try to whip up some pain. Pain brownies, baby.
Baby.
Uncle Ransom's pain brownies. Yeah. So he kind of takes the hit, disengages, comes back around, and let's do Pacific Rim. We go into like the sword.
The weird sword fighting stance.
Yeah,
That's
like
insane.
it's kind of like I guess they're kind of like Bakken, but like they're also way too whatever.
I know.
Don't
We
apply
all
your
know.
logic in the Quoon room.
the laws do not apply here. So and he's just gonna go in for another hit. He's not a and I think this time it's just gonna be just a straightforward, like very clearly very competent, but also like old. It's an older style. It's just a little bit off, and he's definitely slower. He's not fighting fit like all these young whippersnappers. That is toughness, or is that precision, or is that?
It's going to be a hand-to-hand roll, so I believe it's toughness plus survivor.
Toughness plus survivor. Well, good thing I'm a tough old asshole. Oh fuck! That's a 10 and an 8.
All right, that is
Nice.
2 hits. I think Shailee, you just grappling with your emotions, you are almost kind of like pulled back again because fear is the afraid is the thing you chose. I think that you kind of like your fear is what makes you stumble the block, and it like you block it, but then just manages to get the tap in. You notice after you've not quite perfectly blocked it,
Which is
and it
noticeably a tap and not a...
Yeah.
Good.
It is technically a point, if only just.
Yeah. And then Shailee will immediately disengage and then take a step back and bow. Although there is like so her physicality tracks the motions that they should, but the story on her face is different because once she bows, she'll say, "Good match," put the staff up, and leave.
As you turn, Shailee, you can see someone leaning in the doorway just going. And you can see Ryland Altis in his perfectly pressed suit leaning against, clearly having watched your match. He stands aside for you to go by, Shailee, and looks over at you, Ransom, and goes, "Now that's what I was hoping to see. Very impressive, Sergeant."
Still rusty around the old gears, but if you want to go, you're more than welcome to try an old dog.
Oh, no. I don't think we have the connection, you and me, much as I might like to think so.
Rachel's gonna pipe up from like where she's sitting in the corner doing like some, cool down stretches. I'm just gonna be like, "Oh no, I think that sounds fascinating. I think you should definitely. I'd love to see it."
He goes,
Can I try and influence him to convince him to do it, please?
Sure, yeah, I don't see why not.
This is the new name of this flight is Fuck Comcast Dundee.
I am gonna say that it is probably gonna be a little harder than average. I'm gonna require 2 hits for a success on this,
Okay.
just because
So
he's
this
a
would be
very
what,
image
Hearts and Leader?
conscious. Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I would say so.
Hearts and leader. Let's hope
Would
that I
this be
do it.
a
'cause
case
that
in
would
which
be-
he might be a fan of hers, though?
It is possible. I'm also just double checking.
I can't get advantage.
something.
Oh no, I can because I. that's
Yeah,
what
you're
it
not.
said.
You're unrattled now because you got your condition.
One success.
All
Not
right.
quite.
He kind
I
of
could push again.
could. You could.
Remind me, pushing stress you do not get rid of after session that you have to like actually take care of.
If you do something sufficiently emotionally worthwhile, then yeah, you might get rid of some of it.
Does watching him get beat up count as emotionally worthwhile?
No.
Your honor.
No, it normally is something you do or a vulnerability that you make, not like sitting back and watching a guy you don't like get beat up.
I don't actually have much of a problem with him. I just think this is funny.
Here's what I'll say, Rachel. I go ahead and add in an advantage die for your famousness. I think that makes sense because he does want to say,
So this is
he
a
wants
charm?
to impress you, yeah. So no, just go ahead and add one more die for that for your the advantage die. I should
Not quite.
All right. I think what he says is. He kind of says, "Yeah, all right. But if I win, I'm gonna need a little something from you."
You're gonna have to be a little more specific than that before I agree.
Oh, he goes.
Was he saying that to me or to?
No, he said that to Ransom.
That's what I was
Never
trying to
mind
figure
that.
out.
Yeah.
Never mind then.
He says, he leans in and goes, "If I win, you go to dinner with me when you get back."
Deal. If we get back.
When you get back. Yeah, and he'll like take off his fancy shirt and take off his shoes. Yeah. Why the hell not? Shailee, you've left the room at this point, right? Or are you sticking around?
No, Shailee ran.
I'm gonna just kind
I
of
think
like.
Lee
as
probably
in-
left at this point too.
Oh.
After their fight.
It's just
I was gonna
it's just
say-
Rachel hanging out watching all this.
I don't have either of their phone numbers, right? Does the tablet I'm holding have like their contact info on it? Because I took one of the tablets from the room when I came in here.
It does
You
not
did.
necessarily, but it does have a video recording feature.
Oh, I'm 100% recording this. Like subtly though, like I'm pretending I'm still just like looking through the catalog. But I have it like propped up on my knees.
Yeah, absolutely.
God damn it.
This is my apology to you.
All right, Ransom. What are you doing?
Ransom just kind of goes back, stretches a couple times, feels just pops his back a little bit after that hard landing from Shailee's pretty elegant takedown, and you know your way around one of these.
Oh, well, guy's got to keep fit somehow. Might as well be something he enjoys.
Yeah. Well, there's things you do for enjoyment and things you do for the job. We'll see how those two match up. And yeah, so God damn it, I can't not read that.
Yeah, he plucks one of the staves off of the rack and gives it a practice twirl. It seems like he knows what he's doing.
Like, scale of 1 to 10? Scale of 1 to Ransom.
He can do the fancy flourishes pretty good.
Anybody can
What
do the
that
fancy
means-
flourishes.
You don't know.
All right. Yeah, so I think Ransom doesn't give him very long. Gives him just enough time, waits to make sure that he's actually ready. But the instant there's any sort of cue that he's ready, makes eye contact and just moves in very fast and is once again going to try to feint and make it look like he's going for a leg sweep, but in fact going for a tap to the neck.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
All right. That's hand to hand?
Yes.
Is that's toughness? Oh wait, no, that's sorry, deception. I'm doing deception.
Oh, you're just doing deception? Yeah, that is gonna
for that
be...
sweet advantage.
Yeah, wits plus renegade with an advantage.
So that is not a D10. So it's a D8 A D12 and a D6. Oh, okay. I don't. 12, 5, and 1.
3 hits.
3?
Yeah, 12, which is 2. 5.
Oh, right.
Oh, 5, which is 1.
Yes.
And then the 1, which is nothing.
So yeah, 3 hits. Yeah, I think you come in, and I think just you're a lot like physically stronger than him. And he kind of falls for the feint, and you kind of get your staff under his knees and just totally put him down on the ground. However, he kind of rolls out of it surprisingly well. Like, you definitely took him down, you heard him kind of oof against the mat, but he rolls to his feet quite quickly, manages to roll behind you, and quite quickly just lands a big solid thwack across your back. He's fast. He's not as strong as you are, but he's faster.
And it's just fucking, it's all these speed demons today, all right? Okay. Old tank's got old tank and a tank.
I believe that since you were rattled and did not change it, that means you have a condition, my man. You got a condition.
I got a condition. Well,
It makes everyone except for Lee.
Quick, we gotta get him.
It's not afraid. It's not hopeless. It's not guilty. Could be insecure or angry.
You could feel a little guilty about beating up your fan.
I don't think he does.
Not Ransom.
Not even a little bit. It's angry. It's like, oh god. It's like, all right. I think it's anger at himself. He's frustrated. He's old. He's slowing down despite all the work he does. He's done like to maintain himself and his body, and to be the person who he feels that he is. The body fails. There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, obviously, he's very intimately familiar with that, being a Mark I Jaeger pilot. So angry it is.
All right, Mark angry. You're not rattled anymore. Nope. But yeah, it's your move. What are you doing?
What does that mean? I can't roll precision?
Yes, I believe that's the case.
I would like to roll to bonk.
Roll for bonk. Okay, that's gonna be toughness plus survivor.
Definitely toughness plus survivor, which is a D10 and a D12. Roll for bonk. That's a 5 and a 9.
All right, 2 hits. Yeah, I think you just come in, and again, just with the superior strength, he goes to block it, but again, these staves are like kind of weak. You just snap it in half and get him in the gut.
Ooh.
It's not super hard. I'm pissed, but I'm not trying to hurt him. And
but yeah, you hit him, and he did not put on one of the training shirts, so you hit him right in his bare midriff. Yeah,
does he hit a button? Because that would hurt a lot.
No, he took off his regular shirt.
Oh yeah, he took off his shirt. Very dramatic, which I'm sure he got that. So yeah.
But yeah, he doubles over. And
Ransom just leans down next to him, like doubling over, and just says, "Make sure it's somewhere nice," and tosses his staff over and leaves the room.
He kind of looks up and goes, "What's up at you?" Rachel goes, "I thought we were only going out to dinner if I won, but I'll take what I can get." Oh, it's gonna leave a bruise.
You did get a hit on him, though. Well done. I say after I stop the video and casually put it back.
Yeah. You
Totally
see him.
chill.
You
Super
see him
chill.
just kind of like looking out of the room after Ransom with this kind of like difficult to read expression on his face.
Can I try?
Yeah, absolutely. Make an awareness roll.
I can't use wits right now because I'm feeling guilty. So, what was the second one for? It
Leader.
was wits and leader. Okay. So I'm rolling 1 die. Well, this is fun. Hey, that's a success.
it's difficult to parse. There are a lot of things going on. There's definitely a degree of like begrudging admiration, or in like admiration, not even necessarily begrudging, but you also just kind of get this moment where like he's fucking pissed. I think you get the sense that he like talked a big game, but the idea that someone would like assault his person is, you know, you've been around a lot of entitled rich people in your life, Rachel, and this is definitely the sort of like, how fucking dare you? You get the sense it's more of like a momentary involuntary reaction than a like, I am going to now plot your downfall.
I want a coat made of ransom.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's more. Wow, that's a whole ass mood.
Thank you. I'll be here all month.
Yeah, so I think we just we see Ransom sort of stalking out. The four of you are divided and kind of disparate at this moment. Let's go around and do sort of one final scene from everybody before we go ahead and wrap. And you can definitely pull other players into a scene if you have something in mind, or if it's just a little vignette with you, either way. So yeah, if anyone has an idea.
Yeah, I think that seed of guilt has blossomed ever so slightly. Not the one for Comcast Dumpty. The one about gut shotting Shailee. And I think at one point Ransom just kind of probably the only time you've ever seen him look awkward. Like knocks on the door frame of whatever room you're in, and is just holding like a couple like cartons of coconut water, and tosses one to you. Tosses one to Shailee.
Shailee will catch it out of instinct without even really realizing what she's catching.
The mirroring.
Yep.
So good.
I think maybe kind of at that moment, both of you kind of also think of that. It's like you catch the vitamin water, and Ransom, you almost like instinctively kind of like reach for like a pen. It's flying at your face.
Taste.
And sorry about the gut shot. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I've been hit worse. Everybody at the PPDC has, you know that.
It's been a long time since I've been part of anything like that.
Yeah. Do you miss it?
That's a complicated question with a complicated answer.
Well, you're drift compatible with me. I certainly wasn't expecting you to be easy.
That's fair. I'm glad to see they didn't pair me with some rookie.
Yeah, well, and I think it's weird if all the shit you saw is right on par with what I've done in way less time. It's kind of terrifying, isn't it? I mean, you wear your fucked up on the outside.
Oh,
How fucked up is my inside?
trust me, Mark 1 fucked up on the inside too.
Well, you know, I can't say I hope we drift, but it's not going to be pleasant if we do.
They definitely didn't tell you anything about me, did they?
I mean, all I heard were the stories, but Mark 1, there were a lot of you. And a lot of stories, none of them good.
Yeah, there was. The key word there is there was a lot of us. Not so many left.
Well, hey, I bet you didn't hear about me either, so.
You look really familiar, though. But
Yeah. It's part of the package of being related to two PPDC heroes. My
You
brothers.
yeah, you watch him as he puts that together. And you're a bone instructor.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure everyone here has the reason for being grounded.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't think that this is a good idea, but I'm very curious to see where it goes.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know what you were doing before this, but you know what they say about teaching and doing.
Well, if you can't do it, teach it. Well, I was
Something
doing
like that.
construction, so I don't know what that says about me, but I think you got the short end of the stick on this one.
I bet you're wrong.
And
I think they
Ransom.
clink their coconut water.
They clonk their coconut waters. There we go. Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, I think the two of you kind of settle in for the night. Rachel, Lee, either of you have anything?
I was going to go see if I could find Lee. Yes.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, I think real quick before that, I think when you guys, when the third fight was happening, I think if Shailee just passes through the kitchen or common area or whatever, Lee is just in the fridge. He grabs a beer, which I assume is in there, and he's like, "We might die
It's
tomorrow."
all Foster's, though.
That's it. He's not taking.
Oh no! That's
he has
shitty.
bad
Not
taste.
there.
He has just as bad taste. Good to know.
Yeah, Laura's very offended right now from all the way across the planet.
I'm sorry. It's the only
I've
Australian beer I know.
I've definitely
The
gone.
only Australian beer,
I've done the
right?
Foster's Australian for beer ad, and she's like, never, ever. That's like
I'm
going to
joking.
Mexico and talking about Corona. You know,
I'm
just
sorry,
fucking-
Australia.
I assume it comes out of the faucet over there and in our penthouse.
There's a Foster's
yeah.
tap.
Yeah, it's a tap.
But yeah, so he's still pretty steamed, and he's just sort of kind of offhandedly to you, but not even to you, kind of. He's like, we might die tomorrow, and we're spending the last night of our life on Earth fighting each other and dredging up our worst memories. And then he just sort of I think walks out of the kitchen, out to the little. I imagine there's also a little balcony.
Oh
Right?
yeah, definitely. It takes you a second to figure out how to get out there until you press on one of the glass panels and it slides open. But yeah, there's some
Oh my God.
lounge chairs on this 33rd floor balcony.
Can I just say that in real life, I worked in real estate. I went to a job where there were just two glass walls that looked out over New York. And I was like, how do you get outside? And then the guy hit a button and then the walls just moved out of the way. So I
Our
was like, I felt so
Suzumiya
dumb.
voice.
I
Those
felt
dang
so
rich
dumb.
people.
Anyway, so yeah, that's all. Lee just kind of does that offhandedly.
Yeah, Rachel, I think when you go looking for him, you're kind of looking out over the city, and then kind of your eyes focus in on the shorter distance, and you realize that Lee is sitting out on the balcony.
I probably figure out how to open the door faster, just because it's my job.
Engineer.
I'm this man is stinking rich and totally impractical. Where would he put the thing? And it's some stupid fancy, this man probably has a secret bookshelf in his library kind of thing.
Just one?
Fair. His house is just secret passages entirely.
Look,
The
you
rooms
don't
are
need to
just
call
stretched
me
out.
out like that.
Yeah, so you're able to find your way out onto the balcony, no problem.
Yeah. So I kind of just go out and sit there, like, kind of quietly for a while, just kind of like being in the same place, looking out over the skyline, which I'm assuming is getting darker at this point.
Oh yeah, it's pretty late at this point. The sun
Do we
is
have like a
definitely-
sunset view, or is it
Yes.
past then?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit. You're not looking out to the west. You're looking out to the east, so the sunset is not quite as dramatic, but you can see it kind of lighting up all of the remaining buildings.
So she's gonna kind of just sit there in silence for a while, like kind of waiting to see if he asks her to leave or if he leaves or if he's like willing to talk.
I think he also just sits there in silence for a while.
So yeah, after a while of him, like when it's pretty clear he's not just gonna like leave or completely ignore her if she tries to speak, she'll sort of clear her throat awkwardly, and say, I shouldn't have pushed you quite that hard. Sorry. It was cruel.
It's bound to happen.
If I say that I was trying to figure out what I might see if we end up drifting, does that make it better or worse?
He looks at you pretty seriously and he says, it's something you should be prepared for. And he says, but you know what? As bad as everything that happened between me and Donna and the incident, it's the being haunted by it that really wears.
That's definitely something I know about.
Oh yeah?
Being haunted by things? There's a reason I didn't end up a ranger.
Do tell.
Even as far as you went. I have trouble not chasing the rabbit. Sometimes, a lot of times, it seems as though they talk about memories that you don't want to believe that you end up stuck in. I have the opposite problem. So,
Memories that you want to be stuck in?
the player is having the issue of I don't know how much to reveal at this point story-wise.
It's totally up to you. Yeah, do as you will.
Yeah. I don't know how much you know about me and my history, given she kind of just gestures probably towards, you can probably like see the back of a billboard at least from where we're sitting.
He
Kind of
says,
just
like,
gestures at the general area of billboards. So a
yeah,
lot of
so
it is-
he says, yeah, I know that version of you.
given that and everything, it's hard to tell what people know and what people don't, but the short version is, well, when you have a missing person, sometimes it's hard to let go. So, if we end up having to drift, despite everyone's possibly better judgment, or at least the better judgment of whoever it was, respectively, who made us all leave one way or another. You'll probably have to see that too. It's not quite the same, but not as dramatic, I suppose. But part of the reason for this whole thing is so that we know each other before we end up actually having to see everything, so.
It's like, well, I appreciate it. And he says, and listen, if it happens and if you get lost out there, you can trust me to go in after you.
I didn't really doubt that. As I say, I do trust you with my life. I am willing to do that much.
Just not with your heart. I get it. Listen, I never even asked you out on a date.
And as we sort of like
kind
slow
of laughs
pan
back,
away
and then
from
sort of changing, like as the subject eventually moves on, she does eventually go, by the way, Ransom ended up fighting Altus, and I got a video. Do you want to see?
It's like, I would love to look at or do anything other than all of this. So yes, I would love to see
So
that.
then, yeah, she shows the video.
All right, I have one final question for you guys before we wrap, which is later in the evening on each of the tablets, each of you get a pop-up message with a file attached, and it says extended personal dossier. And there's the file which you can open and look at, and it's detailed PPDC records of each of you. You get yourself, yes. And it says send to partner, yes, no.
I send it, but I don't even read the first line of it.
Rachel probably knows most of what's in there because she's in the PPDC at this point still, so a fair amount of it she probably knows. She does read through it just out of curiosity, but she does send it along.
Shailee is gonna hit send and then read through what it is. I mean, she's pretty aware of what's happened to her, so she doesn't expect to be surprised by what's in there, but she's like, may as well see what they decided to highlight in my greatest hits.
Ransom manages to lock the tablet and ends
I
up.
want to say Rachel does come over at some point and be like, do you need help with the technology, Grandpa?
I'm not your grandpa. And yes. You just like you see him like just kind of like it's just him just like being like.
So Ransom,
Like-
are you gonna send your dossier?
Yes, once the tablet's unlocked, he's not.
the internet.
Look,
Oh no.
I was piloting one of these things before you were out of your diapers, so. All right,
That's not true for certain, but continue.
don't lecture me on how math or time works. I've been there for more of it than you have. Now unlock the damn tablet.
All right,
Talk it again.
on this lovely domestic scene, we fade out. Whether or not you read what your partner sent you is entirely up to you. Thank you everyone for sticking around. Sorry we went a little bit late. This was the first episode of our Delta Protocol Pacific Rim flight. We will be back next week for more of this thrilling adventure. Same time, next Tuesday at 8. Players, thank you so much for coming. Justin, thank you so much for writing this wonderful game that we are playing. And yeah, any other quick plugs that people want to...
Thank you for GMing.
Yeah, for real.
Any other quick plugs people want to throw in there? Sorry.
I don't think we're going to be going on this week because my DM is still recovering. But when I'm not here on Tuesdays, you can find me on Thursday evenings on the Wandering DM channel, where we are playing the Sentinels RPG and playing essentially comic book superheroes. And the whole game has a very comic book format to it, and that would be published issues and I think trade series. It's really fun. But and there's a trading card game, but more links and information about that will be on my Twitter account, which is @Puja. So and if I don't see you there on Thursdays, I will see you here next week with these wonderful folks.
Hell yeah. You should also there's a lot of other cool stuff that happens on this here channel. Flights of Fandom is but one of many shows where quality content is produced by our all our amazing cast members and our amazing GMs.
Well, speaking of quality content, if you want to see me play something once for finally, I'm playing some Monster of the Week tomorrow on Happy Hour. I'm gonna play a weird Victorian lady. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, so come join us there. Come join all our great shows. All of those schedule details are down below on our Twitch page. But of course, the best way to connect with us, and if you want to come join us for any of our games, check out the Discord. Until next week, stay safe, have fun, and may the force be with you. All right.
Be gay, do crime.
Bye, guys.